The Mediterranean night has fallen over Crete, but here, beneath the heavy, go-out hand-hewn stones of this mountain mill, time has no dominion. Listen closely. Beyond the massive, iron-reinforced oak doors, the wind whistles through the silver-leafed groves of the hillside. Yet inside, the world has narrowed down to a single, rhythmic heartbeat. It is 1420. The air is not just cold or warm, it is thick, intoxicatingly, beautifully thick, saturated with the essence of crushed olives, and the quiet, steady labor of an age that measures time not in seconds, but in the slow, inevitable drip of golden oil. You are standing in the shadows of a vaulted stone chamber, where the only light comes from the dancing amber flicker of clay oil lamps. Before you, the massive limestone basin rests, cold and ancient, holding the harvest of the sun-drenched slopes. Do you hear it? That deep, resonant groan of timber. That is the sound of the great wooden screw press, a giant of craftsmanship being turned, inch by agonizingly slow inch by hand. Tonight there is no rush, there is no tomorrow, only this task. There is only the scent of green fruit being crushed into liquid gold, the warmth of the small glowing hearth in the corner, and the profound grounding silence of a night dedicated to the harvest. In this space, the relentless pace of the outside world dissolves, replaced by a hypnotic ancestral cycle that has defined this island for millennia. You have come to find peace, to witness the alchemy of earth and stone, and to breathe in the heavy, rich atmosphere of a world preserved in amber. Let the heavy doors bar the world away. Let the rhythm of the press settle into your bones. Welcome to the mill. Tonight we embrace the stillness. The stone walls are so thick they seem to hold the memory of the earth itself, shielding this room from the whispers of the Aegean breeze. As you settle into the soft, dim light, look closer at the grain of the wood. It is polished to a dark, lustrous sheen from generations of palms pressed against the handle of the screw. Every rotation is a prayer for abundance, a testament to the patient, unhurried craft of the miller. The smell is the first thing that truly touches you, a sharp, peppery brightness that cuts through the musty scent of cool stone, a sensory reminder of the sun that baked these olives for months on the branch. Everything here is tactile, the rough texture of the limestone floor beneath your feet, the cool weight of the terracotta amphorae waiting to be filled, the gentle heat radiating from the corner hearth. As we begin this journey into the heart of the 15th century, we invite you to let go of the digital noise and the relentless demands of the modern clock. Here, the only measurement that matters is the flow of the oil. It moves like thick, liquid velvet, catching the lamplight as it cascades into the basin. It is the lifeblood of the island, a substance prized by kings and peasants alike. And tonight, you are the only witness to its creation. Stay with me as we trace the journey of the fruit, from the silver-leafed branches in the moonlight, to the glowing golden essence that will warm the hearths of a village when the winter frost finally settles. This is more than a process, it is a meditation. And as the screw turns, as the timber groans, and as the scent of the earth fills your senses, you will find that the outside world is not just forgotten. It has ceased to exist. There is only the rhythm, there is only the press, there is only the peace of the mill. The miller reaches out, his calloused hands finding the familiar notches in the wooden lever. He leans into the weight, and the machinery begins its slow, deliberate descent. The wood complains, a long, low melody of iron and oak, signaling the beginning of the pressing. You feel a sudden deep sense of belonging, a connection to the thousands of years that have passed before you in this very spot. You are safe here, anchored by the stone, warmed by the fire, and cradled by the ancient repetitive labor that has fed humanity since the dawn of time. Breathe deep, traveler, you are home. The miller moves with a deliberate, practiced grace that defies the weariness of the night. His movements are not those of a man rushing to finish his work, but of one who understands that the quality of the oil is dictated by the patience of the press. He walks toward the corner hearth, where the embers have settled into a soft glowing bed of red, casting long dancing shadows across the vaulted ceiling. He pauses, his silhouette sharp against the light, and adds a single dry branch of olive wood to the flames. The wood crackles, a small sudden defiance against the silence, releasing a puff of sweet-smelling smoke that curls upward to join the thick ambient air of the chamber. This room has seen this same ritual countless times, the same fire, the same shadow, the same dedicated hand at the helm. It is a sanctuary of constancy in a world that is otherwise defined by the whims of the sea and the shifting fortunes of empires. As the fire flares, you watch the light catch the deep, vertical grooves of the stone walls. These walls have stood since the time of the Venetians, perhaps even longer, holding the secret history of Crete within their limestone bones. They are cool to the touch, exuding a subtle earthy dampness that contrasts perfectly with the dry warmth radiating from the hearth. You can feel the stillness pressing against you, not as a weight, but as a shroud that lifts the anxieties of the day. The world beyond these walls, with its political intrigues, its distant wars, and its bustling ports, seems like a dream. Here, there is only the physical reality of labor. The heavy smell of the olives becomes even more pronounced now, a mixture of green sharpness and a rich, buttery depth that seems to cling to the very air you breathe. The miller turns back to the press. He places his hands on the lever, his fingers finding the smooth, worn indentations that have been shaped by the generations before him. With a slow, steady push, he leans his entire weight into the beam. The great wooden screw begins its descent, turning with a sound that is almost like a sigh. It is the sound of patience made audible. Beneath the press, the basket, tightly woven from reeds and reinforced with rope, begins to groan under the gathering pressure. You watch closely as the first beads of oil emerge. They do not come in a rush, but in slow, determined droplets, like liquid amber caught in the act of transformation. They catch the orange light of the lamp, glowing with an inner luminescence that feels almost sacred. This is the alchemy of the harvest. Each droplet is a distillation of the summer sun, the spring rain, and the rocky soil of the mountainside. The miller watches the progress with a gentle, focused intensity, his eyes tracking the flow. He is not just a worker, he is a guardian of the cycle. He knows that if he turns too quickly, the heat of the friction will spoil the delicate flavor of the oil. He knows that if he turns too slowly, the pressure will not be enough to coax the essence from the fruit. There is a precise tempo to this life, a rhythm that mirrors the beating of his own heart. You find yourself syncing your own breath to the pace of his movements, in as he reaches for the handle, out as he exerts the force, in as he resets his grip, out as the timber groans in harmonious response. The atmosphere in the room is profoundly grounding. The air is thick, yes, but it is a comfortable thickness, like a heavy woolen blanket wrapped around the shoulders on a chilly night. You look toward the terracotta amphorae lined up along the far wall. They are dark and cool, waiting patiently for their golden burden. These vessels are as essential to the process as the press itself, designed to keep the oil at a steady temperature, shielding it from the air and the light. They are the silent witnesses to the harvest, their curved surfaces reflecting the flickering lamplight as the oil begins to pool at the bottom of the collection trough. The sound of the trickle is becoming more consistent now, a soft melodic tapping that adds to the hypnotic atmosphere of the chamber. You find yourself wandering in your mind, drifting along with the slow rhythm of the press. You think of the groves outside, the thousands of silver green trees that climb the mountainside, their roots clutching the earth with the tenacity that has sustained this island for centuries. You imagine the workers who spend their days under the Mediterranean sun, handpicking each olive, sorting them, and bringing them to this very room. There is a connection here, a chain of human effort that stretches back to antiquity. You are merely the newest link, a silent observer in a chain that will continue long after you have gone. The sense of peace that fills the room is not fragile. It is robust, built on the solid foundation of tradition and the simple, undeniable necessity of the work. As the miller pauses for a moment to wipe his brow, he looks up, not at you, but past you, as if seeing the history of this place reflected in the stone. He does not speak, for words are unnecessary here. The silence is full, communicative, and deeply soothing. It is a silence that invites you to examine your own life, to prune away the unnecessary, and to focus on the essential. What is your own version of this press? What is the core labor that grounds you and gives you purpose? As the miller resumes his task, the rhythm resumes its hold, and you feel the last vestiges of restlessness slipping away, replaced by a deep, resonant contentment that feels as permanent as the stones surrounding you. The miller's hands, mapped with veins and weathered by the grit of decades, navigate the machinery with an intimacy that suggests he could operate this press in total darkness. He shifts his stance, planting his boots firmly against the uneven stone floor, preparing for the next sequence of tension. The wooden screw, a massive column of oak, is etched with spiraling threads that have been smoothed into a glass-like finish by centuries of friction. As he begins the rotation, the sound changes. The low guttural protest of wood against wood transforms into a rhythmic, almost musical creak. It is the heartbeat of the mill, a steady pulsing cadence that regulates the very air in the room. You watch as he applies the pressure, his muscles tensing beneath a coarse linen shirt, his expression one of singular meditative focus. This is not toil, it is a ceremony. The oil is flowing more freely now. It collects in the stone basin, a shallow circular depression that has been carved out by untold tons of olives over the ages. The liquid is a deep, vibrant green, opaque and dense, reflecting the flickering orange glow of the hearth like a dark mirror. As it spills over the lip of the basin into the waiting terracotta amphora, the sound is rhythmic, a soft, wet slapping against the clay interior. It is the most soothing sound you have ever heard. It anchors the space, providing a sonic backdrop that masks the vast, lonely silence of the mountain night outside. You realize that in this moment, you are not merely watching a process, you are experiencing a state of being where time is no longer a linear construct. It is circular, repeating, and perpetually renewing, just like the cycle of the trees themselves. The scent, meanwhile, has evolved. It is no longer just the sharp green smell of the raw fruit. It has deepened, warmed by the ambient heat of the room and the friction of the press. Now there are notes of crushed leaves, a faint, woody musk, and the faint, sweet underlying perfume of the earth itself. It is an intoxicating aroma, one that feels both primal and clean. You find yourself taking deeper breaths, letting the scent fill your lungs, feeling it settle into your chest. It is as if the meal is exhaling the very essence of the Cretan landscape, concentrated and refined, meant for the sustenance of those who dwell in these rugged hills. The hearth in the corner continues to provide a gentle, steady heat, its light dancing across the vaulted ceiling like a living thing, playing games with the shadows of the machinery. The miller steps back, taking a moment to inspect the progress. He reaches out and dips a small wooden paddle into the flowing oil, holding it up to the light to check its viscosity and color. He nods, a small, nearly imperceptible movement, and replaces the paddle on the wall. He seems satisfied. He looks over toward the thick barred doors, then back to the press, his eyes reflecting a quiet, profound contentment. He knows that the oil he is producing tonight will provide fuel for the lamps of the village, that it will grace the tables of his neighbors, and that it will keep the hunger of the coming winter at bay. This is the burden of his life, but it is a light burden, one born with the pride of a craftsman who knows his worth. He is the keeper of the flame and the press, the bridge between the dormant earth and the living table. As he resumes the rhythm, you feel a sense of profound stillness settle over you. The distractions of the modern world, the constant buzzing noise of ambition, the frantic pace of the clock, the endless need to be somewhere else, all of these things have been stripped away. Go out here, in the belly of the mill, there is only the present. There is only the grip of the wood, the flow of the oil, and the warmth of the fire. You realize that you have been holding on to things that do not matter, and in this sanctuary, you are finally free to let them go. The rhythmic creaking of the press acts as a metronome for your thoughts, smoothing out the jagged edges of your mind and replacing them with a gentle flowing tide of calm. The shadows on the wall shift as the miller moves, creating a silent performance of labor that has played out in this room every winter for hundreds of years. You are merely the latest guest to witness it. The walls, the press, the hearth, the amphorae, they have all seen countless nights just like this one. They are the true inhabitants of the space, the silent sentinels of a tradition that refuses to fade. They welcome you into their quiet, steady world, offering you the refuge of their antiquity. You sit back, leaning against the cool, solid stone of the wall, and allow the rhythm of the mill to take complete control. The world is small, the world is warm, and the world is exactly as it should be. The flickering lamp casts your own shadow against the stone, and for a moment you feel yourself becoming a part of the history of this place, a phantom in the long, slow story of the olive harvest. The night is deep, the work is long, and the peace is absolute. You are exactly where you are meant to be. The miller pauses once more, not because he is tired, but because he respects the cadence of the harvest. He moves to a small wooden stool tucked near the base of the wall and sits, his frame casting a long, steady shadow that stretches toward the heavy doors. He wipes his hands on a clean coarse cloth, the fabric rough against his skin. This is the moment of respite. He pulls a small, simple loaf of bread from a shelf, breaking it into pieces with hands that seem to know the exact texture of the crust and the softness within. He offers a piece toward the shadows where you sit, a silent gesture of hospitality that transcends the centuries. You accept it, the bread tasting of stone-ground wheat and the faint sweet smokiness of the hearth. It is the most honest food you have ever tasted, simple yet profoundly nourishing, a reminder that we need so very little to be satisfied. As you sit there, the silence of the meal is not empty, it is a presence, a deep resonant hum that seems to emerge from the limestone itself. You become aware of the subtle shifts in the air, the way the coolness near the floor meets the rising heat from the fire, creating a delicate, invisible convection that keeps the room comfortable even in the dead of winter. You listen to the distant, muffled sounds of the night, a stray goat calling from the hillside, the rustle of dry leaves caught in the stone threshold, and the soft, insistent ticking of the oil lamps. Everything is measured, everything is purposeful. This is where you realize the power of the environment you have chosen to occupy. It is a space that demands nothing from you other than your attention. It asks you to observe, to breathe, and to exist. If you find your mind wandering to the complexities of your daily life, the emails, the deadlines, the noise of the city, simply return your focus to the sound of the oil dripping into the amphora. Each drop is a heartbeat, a singular moment of creation that will never occur again in exactly the same way. By focusing on this, you anchor yourself to the present, shedding the weight of the past and the uncertainty of the future. You are safe here, protected by the thick walls and the ancient, steady work of the miller. If this journey into the heart of the Cretan night has brought you a moment of stillness, we invite you to subscribe to our channel for more stories of quiet history and timeless craft. By joining our community, you support the preservation of these gentle meditative narratives that remind us of the beauty of simple intentional living. Each story we share is a carefully curated path back to a slower, more grounded existence, helping you find peace in the middle of your own busy world. Your support allows us to continue building this sanctuary of storytelling, one chapter at a time. The miller stands again, his joints popping with a dry, muted sound that seems to blend with the creaking of the press. He does not rush, he returns to the lever, his movements fluid and efficient. He knows exactly how much pressure to apply to the next turn, his body reading the resistance of the mesh, like a musician reading a score. The scent in the room has reached a state of perfection, a rich, complex bouquet of earth, fruit, and wood smoke that seems to wrap around you like a heavy velvet cloak. You watch as he pushes the lever moving through its arc, the wooden screw biting deeper into the fibers of the olive mesh. The flow of oil accelerates just slightly, a tiny rivulet of liquid gold that catches the lamplight and seems to dance as it descends. You feel a profound sense of gratitude not just for the oil, but for the clarity of the task. The miller doesn't worry about the market price of the oil or the politics of the lowland towns. He worries only about the purity of the pressing and the integrity of the harvest. This singular focus is a form of grace. As you watch him, you begin to see the beauty in your own responsibilities, the small, repetitive tasks that, when done with care and presence, form the bedrock of a meaningful life. You realize that peace is not found by escaping the world, but by engaging with it fully and completely in the smallest of ways. The miller turns back to look at you, and for a fleeting second, his eyes meet yours. There is no judgment in his gaze, only a shared recognition of the late hour and the importance of the work. He smiles, a small, tired, but deeply contented expression, before turning back to the press. You feel a kinship with this man of another time, a man who lives in harmony with the rhythm of the seasons. You are not a stranger here. You are a participant in the unfolding of the night. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the sound of the press and the scent of the olives permeate your senses. You are drifting not into sleep, but into a deeper state of awareness, one where the boundaries between the self and the space begin to blur. The mill is your harbor, the night is your shelter, and the peace you have found here is yours to keep, even when you eventually return to the world outside. The fire in the hearth pops, sending a shower of orange sparks toward the ceiling, and the rhythm of the work continues, steady and unending, a testament to the endurance of the human spirit and the quiet, bountiful nature of the earth. The hours have drifted by, unnoticed and uncounted, as the moon climbs high above the rugged Cretan peaks, casting a silver glow that touches even the deep recessed windows of the mill. Inside, the atmosphere has matured, the air growing even more fragrant, a dense perfume of olive nectar and cold stone that seems to possess a weight of its own. The miller has long since abandoned the need for constant adjustment. He works now in a state of flow, a trance-like repetition, where his body and the machinery have become one. He moves with a rhythm so precise, so devoid of hesitation, that he seems to be carving time itself into the floorboard. You sit in the corner, your back against the cool, rough-hewn granite, watching the play of shadows that dance across the vaulted ceiling like ghosts of harvests long past. There is a deep, abiding comfort in this persistence, a realization that while empires rise and fall and names are forgotten to the dust of history, the act of pressing olives, the act of feeding one's family, the act of honoring the land, these are the things that endure. Every time the screw turns, the wooden frame gives a long, deep groan, a sound that vibrates in the very marrow of your bones. It is a grounding, earthy sound, resonant and heavy. It speaks of the weight of the stone, the pressure of the screw, and the resilience of the wood. You find your breathing has synchronized with this sound. In as the lever rises out, as the press descends, you are no longer merely observing. You are participating in a cycle that is ancient and sacred. The oil, now flowing in a steady golden stream, seems to shimmer with a vitality that is almost luminous. It is the color of sunset caught in a jar, a warm, rich amber that promises nourishment and warmth for the long, cold nights of winter. The miller occasionally pauses to tilt a jar, checking the clarity, his face illuminated by the flickering oil lamp. There is a pride in his expression, a quiet, unstated satisfaction that comes only from work done with one's own hands, using tools that have been passed down through generations. You think of the world outside, the bustling, loud, and chaotic world you left behind at the threshold. How fragile those concerns seem now. The anxieties that once consumed you appear as thin and insubstantial as the smoke from the hearth. In the mill, there is only the physical reality of the present moment, the cool touch of the wall, the warmth of the fire, the rhythmic scent of the fruit, and the sound of the oil. This is the ultimate sanctuary, a place where you can strip away the expectations and the pressures of modern life and simply exist as a part of the natural order. The miller shifts, his shadow stretching across the floor to touch your feet, and for a moment the boundary between the observer and the observed vanishes completely. You feel the weight of his experience, the collective memory of the generations of millers who have stood in this exact spot, performing the same task for the same purpose. It is a profound, humbling connection. The hearth, though small, is a relentless furnace of life, its orange glow providing a stark contrast to the deep blue-gray shadows that pool in the corners of the room. You watch as the miller throws another piece of wood onto the fire, the sudden hiss and crackle a sharp, energetic interruption to the quiet. The heat ripples outwards, touching your skin, a welcome companion in the chilly damp of the mountain night. You realize that you are perfectly content, that you have no desire to be anywhere else. The stillness here is not a void, it is a fullness, a saturation of peace that leaves no room for anything else. You watch the oil fill the amphorae, one by one, the vessels lined up like silent sentinels waiting to be claimed. Each one is a testament to a season of growth, a period of patience, and a final rewarding harvest. You feel a sense of immense respect for this process, for the miller, and for the simple, beautiful life he has cultivated within these stone walls. As the night progresses, the sounds of the mountain outside seem to recede entirely. The wind which had been moaning in the eaves has settled into a low, gentle murmur, as if it too respects the sanctity of the mill. There is a profound, almost reverent quality to the silence, broken only by the soft, liquid sound of the oil and the rhythmic groan of the press. It is a sound that heals. It fills the gaps in your own spirit, smoothing over the sharp edges of your thoughts and leaving behind a calm, steady surface. You feel as if you are being slowly reshaped, molded by the atmosphere of the room into something softer, something more at peace with the world. The miller, meanwhile, continues his labor, his movements as steady and as predictable as the stars in the sky. He is the anchor of this room, the quiet center around which your own awareness revolves. And as you watch him, you begin to understand that peace is not something you find in a place, but something you create in yourself, through the slow, steady rhythm of your own life. The rhythmic creak of the wooden press has become a heartbeat you can feel in your own chest, a steady, hypnotic pulse that bridges the gap between the miller's labor and your own quiet stillness. The air in the mill is thick and warm, heavy with the intoxicating scent of crushed olives, a complex perfume of green vitality, peppery bite, and the deep rich musk of the earth itself. Every time the miller leans into the heavy lever, the sound of the straining timber resonates against the vaulted stone ceiling, echoing like a long, slow sigh of the mountain. You watch the golden oil, a thick viscous liquid that seems to hold the very essence of the Mediterranean sun as it cascades into the terracotta vessels. It is a slow, viscous flow, catching the flickering amber light of the oil lamps, transforming the shadows into shimmering ripples that dance across the uneven floor. You feel a profound sense of security here, cradled by the massive ancient stone walls that have stood firm against the winds of centuries. Outside, the world may be vast, uncertain, and filled with the relentless noise of progress. But in here, time has slowed to a crawl, defined only by the drip of the press and the crackle of the hearth. The miller moves with a grace that comes only from a lifetime of intimate knowledge of his craft. He does not need to look at the press to know exactly how much tension to apply. His hands read the resistance of the wood and the fiber, his muscles memorizing the weight of the harvest. He is a man in perfect alignment with his purpose, his life a reflection of the cycles he tends. As you watch him, you begin to let go of the need for speed, the need for efficiency, the need for a destination. Here, the process is the destination. You find that your own thoughts, which were once cluttered with the debris of a busy day, are now as clear and still as the pools of oil in the waiting amphorae. The atmosphere of the room is one of total unconditional acceptance, a space where the simple act of labor is elevated to a form of art. It is a sanctuary of domestic peace, where the warmth of the fire and the smell of the fruit provide all the comfort a soul could desire. Look toward the hearth, where the embers have faded to a soft, pulsing orange, casting a gentle glow on the miller's face. He pauses for a moment, his hands resting on the cool, worn handle of the lever, and he looks toward the barred doors as if listening to the deep, resonant silence of the night. There is a look of quiet satisfaction in his eyes, a recognition of the abundance that has been coaxed from the rocky soil and the thin mountain air. He knows that this oil will sustain his people, that it will light their homes and feed their families, and that this knowledge is enough. You feel a surge of gratitude for the simple, elemental connection to the past that this room provides. It reminds you that humanity's deepest roots are found in the soil, in the harvest, and in the shared labor that binds us to the land and to each other. You realize that you are not just a witness to history, but a participant in a story that began long before you and will continue long after you are gone. As the hours continue to slip away, you find yourself drifting in and out of a waking dream, suspended in the amber light of the mill. You are no longer bothered by the outside world, for it has lost its relevance in the face of this timeless rhythmic reality. The sounds of the press have become a lullaby, a steady, repetitive cadence that lulls your spirit into a state of deep restorative peace. You notice the way the light catches the dust motes dancing in the air, each one a tiny suspended particle of the history contained within these walls. You feel as though you are breathing in the very spirit of Crete, a mixture of resilience, passion, and the quiet, stubborn beauty of the mountain life. The miller, meanwhile, continues his work, a silent, dedicated figure in the dim golden light. He is the master of his own small universe, and by choosing to sit with him, you have been invited into the inner circle of his world, where the only thing that matters is the purity of the task and the peace of the night. This experience is a reminder that within every heart lies a desire for simplicity, for a place where the weight of the world cannot reach, and where the work of the hands brings rest to the mind. The meal provides this not through words or instruction, but through the honest physical reality of its existence. It is a place where you can be exactly who you are, without apology or effort. As the fire crackles and the oil continues to flow, you feel a profound sense of completeness. You are home, you are held, you are at peace. Sleepy History with Fyodor is a sleep history storytelling platform created for entertainment, inspiration, education, and the promotion of positive emotional values. The deep, resonant groaning of the heavy timber press continues to serve as the metronome of this mountain sanctuary. a sound that has etched itself into the very fabric of the night. Within the limestone walls, the air remains thick and intoxicating, a rich tapestry of scents woven from crushed green fruit, damp stone, and the faint sweet trace of wood smoke drifting from the hearth. You find that your awareness has narrowed significantly, focused now only on the immediate, tangible elements of the room, the rough texture of the wall against your shoulder, the warm, flickering amber light reflecting off the terracotta jars, and the steady, mesmerizing rhythm of the miller's labor. It is a world reduced to its most essential components, and in this reduction, you find a profound crystalline clarity. The miller, a silent pillar of endurance, continues his work with the same unhurried, measured pace he has maintained for hours. His movements are circular, eternal, reflecting the very nature of the harvest cycle itself. You watch as he pauses to adjust a knot in the rope, his hands calloused and strong, moving with a reverence that acknowledges the life force contained within the olives he presses. The stillness in the room is not a vacuum, it is a weight, a comfortable, protective presence that shields you from the turbulence of the world beyond the barred oak doors. You feel as though you have been tucked away in the very heart of the mountain, encased in a shell of ancient stone that remembers everything. The history of this place is not found in books, but in the polish of the wooden handle, the grooves in the limestone floor, and the faint, permanent stains of oil that have darkened the clay of the amphoray over generations. You are a part of this history now, a silent witness to a ritual that predates the maps of kingdoms and the changing of borders. There is a sense of belonging here, a recognition that despite the passage of centuries, the fundamental human needs for food, for shelter, for the quiet peace of productive labor remain unchanged. You breathe deeply, letting the heavy peppery aroma of the fresh oil settle into your lungs, feeling the tension in your shoulders dissolve into the stone behind you. As the lamplight flickers, casting dancing, elongated shadows of the mill's machinery against the high vaulted ceiling, you find your mind wandering into a state of serene contemplation. You think of the silver-leaf trees outside, standing silently in the moonlight, their roots deep in the rocky soil of Crete. They have weathered droughts, storms, and the passage of empires. Yet every autumn, they yield their bounty with a stubborn, quiet generosity. The miller is an extension of this resilience. He is not a man of words, he is a man of the earth, his life a testament to the idea that there is a noble, simple dignity in doing one thing well. You learn from him even in silence. You learn that the frantic pace of your own life, the constant need for stimulation and validation, is a departure from the natural rhythm of being here. By the press, you rediscover the profound contentment of being fully present, of giving yourself over to the task at hand, whatever that may be. The oil in the trough has deepened in color, shifting from a bright, vibrant green to a rich, molten gold that seems to glow with an inner fire. The sound of the drip has transitioned from a sharp, rhythmic tapping to a softer, more melodic cascade, a constant stream that signals the peak of the harvest. Each drop is a precious accumulation of the summer's sun and the mountain's endurance. The miller reaches for a small earthen cup, dips it into the stream, and lifts it to the light, inspecting its clarity with a critical, appreciative eye. He does not drink it, but rather pours it back, a silent gesture of gratitude to the source. It is a moment of pure, unadulterated respect. You feel a stir of emotion in your chest, a quiet, blooming sense of peace that fills the space where your restlessness used to live. The atmosphere is so saturated with this peaceful intention that you feel as though you could remain in this chair, by this hearth, under these vaulted stones for an eternity. The night is deep, the world outside is silent, and here, in the dim, warm heart of the mill, time has lost all meaning. There is no urgency, there is no tomorrow to plan for, no yesterday to regret. There is only the creak of the wood, the golden flow of the oil, and the gentle rhythmic breathing of the man who tends the press. You have arrived at a place of rest, a place where the soul can unburden itself of all its heavy, unnecessary baggage. The fire crackles again, a sudden, bright flare of life that illuminates the entire chamber, revealing the beautiful stark simplicity of your surroundings. You are safe, you are grounded, you are exactly where you need to be. The mill continues its work, a slow, eternal engine of abundance, and you remain its silent, grateful passenger, carried forward into the depths of the night on a current of golden peace. The steady, rhythmic groan of the press has become the primary frequency of your existence, a low-frequency hum that vibrates through the very floor beneath you. You find that the boundaries of your own body have become porous, as if you are absorbing the ancient, cool stillness of the limestone walls and the warm, intense energy of the oil-saturated air. In this place, the concept of a ticking clock is entirely alien. Go out here. Time is measured only by the accumulation of the golden harvest. The miller's movements have achieved a level of perfection that transcends skill. They are instinctual, a biological response to the needs of the machinery. Each time he reaches for the heavy wooden lever, he does so with a relaxed tension, his body leaning into the weight, not with strain but with a fluid, yielding strength. You watch as his calloused hands find the exact grooves in the oak handle, polished to a dark, lustrous sheen by centuries of human touch. It is as if he is shaking hands with the ancestors who stood here before him, a silent, ongoing conversation across the ages. You notice a change in the light. The oil lamps, filled by the very substance being pressed, seem to burn with a cleaner, brighter intensity, their flames dancing in the draught created by the temperature gradient between the hearth and the thick exterior doors. Every flicker sends a wave of shadows cascading across the vaulted ceiling, turning the stone into a canvas of shifting dark geometry. You find yourself hypnotized by these movements, your eyes tracing the lines of the masonry as if reading a map of the Earth's own memory. The scent, once just an atmospheric quality, has become a physical presence, a thick velvety layer that blankets everything in the room. It is a smell of profound growth, a combination of the sharp, bright acidity of the raw fruit, the bitter, grassy notes of the stems and leaves, and the deep, buttery sweetness of the oil itself. It is the scent of potential realized, of a long year of sunlight captured and concentrated into a single precious substance. You lean your head back against the cool stone, closing your eyes for a brief moment, and the darkness is not empty. It is filled with the sounds of the mill. You hear the soft, wet slap of the oil meeting the bottom of the terracotta jar, a rhythmic, musical dripping that seems to match the beating of your own heart. You hear the faint crackling hiss of the olive wood in the hearth, a sound like a tiny contained storm. You hear the low, mournful sigh of the wind outside, a distant, defeated sound that only served to underscore the profound security of your position. You are cocooned, wrapped in a layer of ancient domestic warmth that defies the cold, vast indifference of the night. Every cell in your body seems to be relaxing, releasing the accumulated tension of 1,000 daily worries, allowing them to dissolve into the quiet dark corners of the room. The miller moves toward the hearth, his shadow giant and flickering against the far wall. He reaches for a small iron shovel and carefully shifts the embers, exposing a glowing, red-hot core of charcoal. The light illuminates his face for a second, a portrait of serenity carved with the lines of hard work and the wisdom of the seasons. He does not look at you, yet you feel acknowledged. He is not a host in the traditional sense, but a fellow traveler in the stillness, a partner in the quiet, necessary labor of living. He adds a single dry branch to the coals, and the room is filled with a sudden, sharp aroma of wood smoke that momentarily overrides the olive scent, a grounding reminder of the fire that warms the home. You feel a deep, resonant sense of gratitude for this moment, for the simplicity of it, for the fact that you are here, witnessing a miracle of human persistence. This space is a sanctuary, a place where the chaotic, fragmented reality of the modern world is left at the door, barred away by the weight of the oak and the thickness of the stone. You are in a crucible of peace, where the only thing that matters is the flow of the press and the maintenance of the fire. You realize that this is what it means to be truly alive, to be present, to be purposeful, and to be connected to the cycle of the earth. As the miller returns to the press, his movement steady, his focus absolute, you find your own spirit beginning to mirror his. The turbulence is gone. The noise is silenced. There is only the rhythm. There is only the harvest. You have found the center of your own existence. Here, in the dark, warm, and golden heart of the Cretan night, Sleepy History with Theodore combines the power of AI to reimagine fictional historical tales, bringing peace, relaxation, and positive emotional values to our listeners. The rhythm has settled into a profound, meditative state that feels as if it could last for centuries without ever faltering. You are no longer just an observer in this vaulted chamber. You have become a part of the meal itself, anchored to the cool, unyielding stone floor and cradled by the rhythmic, low-frequency grow of the great wooden screw press. The air is so thick with the heady, complex perfume of pressed fruit and warm, dry earth that you feel as though you are breathing in the very spirit of the Cretan landscape. Each breath is an act of nourishment, drawing in the essence of thousands of sun-drenched, wind-swept trees that cling to the rugged slopes of the mountains. You watch the miller as he works, his silhouette a constant, reliable presence in the shifting amber light of the oil lamps. He is a master of this ancient silent craft, his hands moving with the confidence of someone who understands that the quality of the oil is born from the patience of the press. There is a deep, resonant intelligence in his movements, a rejection of the hurried, careless ways of the outside world in favor of a deliberate, intentional grace. The soundscape of the meal is one of exquisite grounding simplicity. Every component contributes to a hypnotic polyphonic harmony. The long, deep timber-on-timber sigh of the screw as it bites into the olive mash, the soft, wet, rhythmic dripping of the liquid gold as it hits the terracotta, and the occasional sharp pop of the olive wood in the hearth. This is a sound that bypasses the rational mind and speaks directly to the nervous system, signaling safety, security, and the cessation of all unnecessary striving. You realize that you have spent your life running after ghosts, targets, schedules, opinions, and fears that have no meaning here. In the mill, there is no such thing as late. There is no such thing as behind. There is only the progress of the harvest and the maintenance of the fire. You feel the knots of tension that have long resided in your neck and shoulders beginning to unfold, dissolving into the ancient, solid masonry. If this sanctuary of silence and historical craft has provided you with a moment of true restorative calm, we invite you to become a part of our growing community by subscribing to the channel. By doing so, you ensure that you never miss a journey into these forgotten, peaceful corners of the past, where the only demand is your presence and the only reward is your own stillness. Your engagement helps us continue to weave these narratives, creating a space for listeners around the world to disconnect from the modern cacophony and reconnect with the simple, enduring values of history. Thank you for walking this path with us, and may the peace of the meal remain with you long after the video ends. The miller pauses not because he is tired, but because the oil requires a moment to settle in the basin. He stands perfectly still for a long, quiet interval, his gaze directed at the flowing golden surface. He seems to be listening to something that you cannot hear, perhaps the secret, internal rhythm of the mountain itself. You find yourself mirroring his stillness, your eyes tracking the way the lamplight catches the surface of the oil, causing it to shimmer and dance like a captured piece of the Mediterranean sun. You feel an immense sense of gratitude for the persistence of this tradition, for the fact that even in a world that seems to be spinning ever faster, there are still places where the old ways are preserved with such devotion. It is a comforting thought, a lighthouse in the dark, reminding you that there is always an alternative to the noise. As he reaches for the handle once more, his muscles bunch and ripple under his coarse linen shirt, a display of raw human capacity that is deeply satisfying to watch. There is no machine-made coldness here. Everything is the result of direct physical engagement with the world. You are witnessing the transformation of raw nature into something precious and sustaining, an alchemy that is as old as civilization itself. The scent intensifies, reaching a crescendo of peppery, grassy brightness that makes your mouth water, a primal sensory reaction that proves how deeply tied you are to this substance. You are in the heart of a home, a place of warmth, of light, and of the fundamental honest work that makes life possible. You close your eyes, letting the sound of the press wash over you like a tide, and you realize that you are finally truly at rest. The world is small, the world is warm, and for the first time in a very long time, you are entirely and completely at peace. The night has matured into its deepest, most velvety stage, a time when the world feels suspended between the past and the infinite. Inside the mill, the passage of time is no longer measured by the moon's arc or the cold approach of dawn, but by the slow gravitational descent of the wooden press. Each rotation is a milestone of quiet achievement. You watch the miller, his form rendered in shades of sepia and gold by the flickering lamps, as he navigates the room with an economy of motion that borders on the sacred. He is not merely working, he is maintaining a vital connection to the land. You feel the weight of this connection in the very air, a dense, palpable atmosphere that seems to insulate you from the concerns of the outside world. Go out here. The floorboards and the stone walls hold the accumulated warmth of 1,000 hearth fires, and the rhythm of the press provides a heartbeat that stabilizes your own. You find that your pulse has synchronized with the low, resonant groan of the timber, a rhythmic pulse that feels as ancient and reliable as the tides. The scent is now fully immersive, a complex symphony of crushed fruit and the raw mineral tang of the mountain. It fills your senses so completely that you find it difficult to imagine any other reality. There is a deep primal satisfaction in this, a reminder that we are creatures of the earth, fundamentally dependent on the harvest for our sustenance and our comfort. You notice the way the light catches the golden, viscous flow of the oil, illuminating the microscopic particles of fruit and essence, a liquid tapestry of sunlight and soil. It is a beautiful, hypnotic sight, one that invites you to lose yourself in the detail. The miller steps back, his hands momentarily still, and he breathes in the air, his chest rising and falling in a steady, calm rhythm. He knows, just as you do, that there is no need to hurry. The oil will arrive when it is ready, and the work will be done when the harvest is complete. You find yourself reflecting on the nature of peace. It is not, you realize, the absence of activity, but the presence of focus. When one is entirely engaged in a task, when the mind is fully occupied by the immediate tactile reality of one's environment, the noise of the internal world, the anxieties, the regrets, the imagined futures simply falls away. The miller is the perfect embodiment of this truth. He is not bothered by the weather or the politics of the lowland towns. He is concerned only with the pressure of the screw and the temperature of the oil. This, you realize, is a form of freedom that most people spend their entire lives searching for, but never find. In this stone room, far from the frantic pace of your ordinary life, you have discovered that this freedom is accessible to anyone who chooses to embrace the rhythm of the present. The hearth continues to be the heart of the room, its soft, crackling light, a constant, reassuring companion. Every so often, the miller feeds it a small piece of wood, The sudden flare of orange light revealing the rich textured grain of the wooden press and the cool damp surface of the limestone. It is a scene of profound domestic security, a sanctuary designed to keep the cold at bay and provide the sustenance necessary to survive the winter. You feel a deep, abiding gratitude for this comfort. You are not just a visitor, you are a guest of history, welcomed into the quiet, rhythmic life of a man who lives in harmony with the natural cycle. The sense of belonging you feel is both intense and humbling. It is a reminder that even when we feel lost or overwhelmed, we can always find our way back to the fundamentals of existence, the warmth of a fire, the smell of the earth, and the steady guiding hand of work that sustains us. As the hours continue to stretch out, you find that the silence is no longer something to be filled, but something to be enjoyed. It is a space of potential, a canvas upon which you can rest your tired mind. You no longer feel the need to think, to analyze, or to plan. You are content to simply be, to let the rhythm of the press dictate the flow of your thoughts, and to allow the atmosphere of the meal to nourish your spirit. You realize that you have reached a place of profound inner silence, a state where the boundaries of the self feel soft and permeable as if you are blending into the very stone of the walls. It is a beautiful, peaceful feeling, a state of grace that you wish you could carry with you into the world beyond the doors. But for now, that is not necessary. For now, there is only the night, the meal, and the gentle golden promise of the oil. The world is at peace, and you are part of that peace. The environment within the meal has become a living, breathing entity, pulsating with the slow, deliberate rhythm of the harvest. You find that the air itself feels thicker, richer, as if it is saturated with the very essence of the life that has been pressed out of the fruit. This is not just a room, it is a repository of time, where the seconds are not wasted, but invested into the creation of something elemental and pure. The miller moves in the dim, golden light with the steady, unswerving confidence of a master craftsman, his hands tracing the same paths that have been worn into the wood by centuries of predecessors. You realize that you have moved past the need to understand or to analyze. You are simply witnessing the continuation of a human story that predates modern calculation and speed. The deep guttural creak of the timber press is the sound of the earth itself yielding its bounty, a sound that resonates through your very core, anchoring you to this place and this moment. If you have found solace in this slow, rhythmic journey through the history of the Cretan olive harvest, we invite you to subscribe to our channel and become part of our dedicated community. By joining us, you help support the creation of these meditative, immersive stories that seek to bring peace and clarity to the modern spirit. Your subscription is more than just a click. It is a commitment to the value of quiet reflection and the importance of preserving the simple, grounded stories that define our humanity. We are honored to have you here, sharing in this silence and this labor, and we look forward to continuing this exploration of history and tranquility with you in future installments. The miller pauses once more, his gaze lingering on the steady golden rivulet of oil that is now cascading with greater volume into the waiting terracotta amphorae. The liquid is breathtaking in its intensity, a deep, vibrant green gold that catches the lamplight and casts shimmering, liquid reflections onto the stone walls. It is the color of health, of sun-drenched hillsides, and of the profound patience required to coax such beauty from the hard, rocky soil of the mountains. He reaches out, his careless fingertips hovering near the flow, and you can sense his unspoken gratitude for the success of this batch. He does not speak, for the moment is far too fragile and sacred for anything as crude as words. He simply stands there, a guardian of the harvest, his shadow stretching long and thin across the floor, a dark, silent presence that feels entirely at home in this ancient architecture. You lean back against the cool, rough surface of the stone, feeling the damp, earthy chill that permeates the lower levels of the mill. It is a sharp, refreshing contrast to the warm, glowing core of the hearth, creating a microclimate of pure, balanced contentment. You feel as though you have been stripped of all the external layers of your identity, the titles, the obligations, the anxieties, the labels, and have been returned to a state of raw, unadorned being. You are just a human sitting in the dark, watching the oil drip, and you realize that this is enough. This is more than enough. The meal provides you with a sense of perspective that you thought you had lost forever. The worries that felt so monumental just a few hours ago now seem small, distant, and ultimately inconsequential. The press keeps moving, the fire keeps burning, and the world outside continues on its way. But here, there is only the profound, grounding truth of the present. The miller turns to look at you, his face softened by the flickering amber glow. And for a fleeting moment, there is a connection that needs no language. It is a shared acknowledgement of the late hour and the beauty of the task. He nods slowly, a gesture that feels like a benediction, before returning to his rhythmic circular motion. You feel a wave of deep, restful exhaustion, not a heavy, burdensome fatigue, but the kind of soft, heavy contentment that follows a long day of honest work. Your eyes feel heavy, and the urge to drift is strong, a gentle pull toward the dream state that is so close at hand. The room is safe, the hearth is warm, and the rhythm of the meal is the most comforting lullaby you have ever heard. You are entirely surrendered to the atmosphere, a willing passenger on this journey into the heart of the Cretan night, where everything is quiet, everything is gold, and everything is at peace. The night deepens, but inside the sanctuary of the stone walls, time has ceased to be a measure of passing moments and has instead become a constant flowing state. The air is thick, not with the dust of the day, but with the saturated essence of the harvest. It is a heavy, intoxicating perfume that seems to cling to the skin and settle into the lungs, grounding you in a sensory reality that is both primal and refined. Every movement of the miller, every creak of the heavy oak press, and every soft, rhythmic drip of the golden oil into the terracotta jars feels like a heartbeat, a synchronized pulse that resonates through the solid masonry. You find that your own thoughts have slowed, thinning out into a transparent, calm awareness that reflects the serenity of the room. The flickering oil lamps, fueled by the very product being created, cast elongated, dancing shadows that turn the vaulted ceiling into a living, shifting map of the miller's dedication. You watch the oil as it pours in the base of the basin before finding its path to the amphorae. It is a slow, viscous, and deliberate movement, a liquid gold that refuses to be rushed. This is the pace of nature, the pace of the soil, and the pace of the mountain itself. You realize that you have spent your life trying to defy this pace, pushing against the natural limits of your capacity and rushing toward outcomes that, in the grand scheme of things, matter very little. But here, the press dictates the tempo, and the miller respects it with a quiet, unwavering obedience. As you observe the tension in his shoulders and the careful, practiced way he handles the liver, you feel a shift in your own spirit. The urge to control, to predict, and to hurry begins to dissipate, replaced by a profound sense of trust in the process. The hearth in the corner remains the quiet center of the room's energy, a small glowing ember bed that radiates a steady, dry heat. Occasionally, the miller moves toward it to adjust the logs or clear the ash, and the flare of light catches the dust motes in the air, creating a momentary, magical display of suspended motion. You feel as though you are sitting in the heart of a secret, a private moment of history that is being played out for you alone. The world outside the heavy iron reinforced doors is vast and cold, filled with the uncertainties of the 15th century, but in here, there is only the certainty of the harvest. It is a bunker of peace, a vault of tradition, and you feel incredibly privileged to be the witness to its quiet labor. You find that you have let go of the need to be anywhere else, to be anyone else. Your physical body has responded to the atmosphere of the meal with a deep, full body relaxation. The cool, solid granite of the wall you are leaning against provides a grounding tactile sensation that anchors you firmly in the present. You listen to the rhythmic sounds, the long, low groan of the wood, the soft splashing drip of the oil, the distant muted whistle of the wind in the eaves, and you realize that these sounds are a form of nourishment. They are the sounds of an ancient human way of life that has survived because it provides for the body and sustains the soul. You are learning that to be at peace is not to be empty, but to be full of the right things, full of the air, the light, the scent, and the rhythm of honest, necessary work. The miller eventually steps back, his work for this segment complete. He stands by the press, his hands resting on his hips, his breathing deep and unhurried. He looks around the room not with pride, but with a quiet, satisfied recognition. He knows the value of the oil. He knows the worth of the labor. And he knows that the night is far from over. Yet he seems entirely at ease with the duration, entirely comfortable with the repetition. You feel a deep brotherly affection for this stranger who has allowed you to share his space. You realize that though you are centuries apart, you are united by the same basic human experience of needing to find meaning in the repetition of the day. As he turns back to the press, his movements as fluid and certain as a river, you feel yourself drifting further into that soft, golden haze of contentment. The world is safe, the night is beautiful, and the work is a sacred, enduring melody that continues to play slow and sweet in the heart of the Cretan mountains. The atmosphere within the meal has settled into a state of profound, crystalline stillness, broken only by the deliberate, ancestral creaking of the wooden press. You find that your senses have sharpened to an incredible degree. You can hear the faint dry scrape of the miller's boots against the stone floor, the gentle sigh of the fire as it consumes a piece of seasoned olive wood, and the distant muffled echoes of the night mountain. The oil, now flowing in a steady golden stream, has created a pool in the terracotta jar that catches the lamplight and reflects it back in ripples of warm amber. It is a mesmerizing sight, a liquid representation of the sun's energy stored within the fruit and now released through the patient, heavy pressure of the machine. You feel as though you are observing the very lifeblood of the island, a substance that has nourished generations of families and filled the lamps of the village through countless winters. There is a weight to this realization, a gravity that anchors you firmly to the ground, stripping away the airy, frantic thoughts that usually clutter your mind. The miller's commitment to his labor is total, yet it is entirely devoid of the anxiety that characterizes modern existence. He does not watch the door to see if he is finished. He does not look at the shadows to see how much of the night remains. He is entirely consumed by the task of the press. He understands that the oil is delicate, that it is a product of a million tiny invisible processes. The way the sun hit the leaves, the moisture in the soil, the precise timing of the harvest. And he treats the pressing as the final critical act of stewardship. You watch him lean into the beam, his muscles tensing beneath his shirt, his focus so intense that he seems unaware of your presence. Or perhaps he is simply so accustomed to the presence of the night and the meal that you have become part of the scenery, a quiet ghost in his own well-trodden world. You find yourself sinking deeper into the stone floor, the cold of the masonry providing a necessary balance to the warmth radiating from the hearth. It is a sensory dichotomy that keeps you present, preventing you from drifting too far into sleep while simultaneously washing away the stress of the day. The scent of the olive oil is now so pervasive that it feels like a physical weight, a thick velvet shroud that wraps around you and protects you from the harshness of the outside world. There is a medicinal quality to it, a sharp green acidity that clears the sinuses and refreshes the spirit. You realize that you have spent your life looking for peace in places that were loud, complicated, and demanding. never realizing that true, lasting serenity is found in the simple, repetitive cycles of the earth. A fire in the corner of the room flares up, casting a sudden brilliant light that makes the shadows of the machinery jump and dance against the vaulted ceiling. It is a reminder that even in this enclosed, stone-walled world, there is life, there is energy, and there is change. The miller's shadow, large and dark, moves with the firelight, a silent giant overseeing the transformation of fruit into gold. You feel a strange sense of companionship with him, even though you have not spoken a word. It is the companionship of shared silence, the recognition of two travelers who have met in a place where language is unnecessary. You are both witnessing the same miracle, the way the world provides for those who know how to ask, how to wait, and how to work with the natural pace of the seasons. As the night continues to unfold, the rhythm of the press becomes the foundation of your reality. You find that you can anticipate the sound before it happens, the slight shift in weight, the intake of breath, the creak of the timber, and then the slow rhythmic groan as the screw bites into the fibers. It is a predictable, dependable cadence, and it brings with it a sense of absolute safety. No harm can come to you here, protected as you are by the thick, ancient walls and the steady guiding hand of the miller. The world of deadlines and expectations of digital noise and social pressure has faded into complete irrelevance. You are free, you are completely and utterly at peace, carried by the golden flow of the harvest into the deep, quiet heart of the Cretan night. Everything is in order, everything is in rhythm, and everything is exactly as it is meant to be. The atmosphere inside the mill has reached a state of profound, resonant harmony, where every sound and movement feels like a deliberate note in an ancient composition. The air is so thick with the intoxicating peppery scent of fresh olive oil that it feels as if you are breathing in the very essence of the Cretan landscape itself. It is a grounding, earthy, and deeply soothing sensation, one that calms the racing thoughts and settles the spirit into a state of quiet, expectant stillness. The miller remains a steadfast, rhythmic force, his body moving with the effortless grace of someone who has spent a lifetime in communion with this specific machinery. Every time he leans into the wooden lever, the entire room seems to vibrate with a low, resonant groan, a deep and comforting sound that speaks of stability, tradition, and the enduring resilience of human effort. You watch the golden oil, a thick and viscous substance that captures the amber flicker of the hearth light as it descends in a slow, steady trickle into the waiting terracotta amphorae. Each drop is a testament to the harvest, a concentrated dose of the mountain's patience and the sun's generosity. You find that your perception of time has shifted entirely. It is no longer linear or demanding, but circular and patient, mirroring the slow, repetitive motion of the mill screw. The anxieties that once seemed so pressing, the concerns about your work, your path, and the future, now feel thin, insubstantial, and utterly irrelevant in the face of this timeless physical labor. You are observing a ritual that is as old as the hills themselves, a process that doesn't just produce oil, but also, in its own silent way, produces peace. The miller's focus is absolute, a meditative concentration that effectively shuts out the vast uncertain world outside the thick barred doors. He is not a man who worries, he is a man who tends, and in that distinction you find a profound lesson about the nature of a fulfilling life. You feel a sense of profound, protective warmth radiating from the small corner hearth, a steady heat that keeps the damp, cold night at bay. The stone walls, thick enough to muffle the howling mountain winds and hold the memory of countless winters, provide an incredibly sturdy and secure backdrop for your reflections. You lean your head against the cool, rough surface of the granite, feeling the faint vibrations of the press traveling through the structure. It is as if the building itself is alive, breathing with the rhythm of the harvest, and you are a part of that slow, measured respiration. You feel safe here, cocooned within the ancient architecture, knowing that the outside world cannot reach you, and that for this duration you are free to exist without the need for constant frantic self-optimization. The oil continues its steady rhythmic dripping, a sound that is as hypnotic and restorative as the sound of distant rain on a tin roof. You find yourself drifting into a state of soft, relaxed awareness, where the boundaries between your own thoughts and the atmosphere of the room begin to dissolve. Looking at the miller, you see not just a laborer, but a guardian of a heritage. He wears his exhaustion like a garment, but it is the healthy, honest fatigue of a man who has done good work. He does not seek reward beyond the accomplishment of the task, nor does he express frustration with the length of the night. He is entirely at one with his environment, and through your proximity to him, you are invited to share in that state of grace. You feel a surge of genuine affection for this simple, enduring way of life, a life that honors the earth, the season, and the honest labor of the hands. You are witness to the beauty of the ordinary, and you realize that if you could bring even a fraction of this quiet, rhythmic focus back into your own life, everything would change. As the hearth light flickers, casting long dancing shadows across the vaulted ceiling, you feel a deep, abiding contentment that is rare and precious. The meal is your harbor, the night is your sanctuary, and the peace you have found here is not dependent on circumstances, but on the presence of your own mind within the task. You are not waiting for anything to happen. You're already where everything is happening. You are participating in the harvest, in the fire, and in the deep, quiet rhythm of the mountains. The world of noise is left behind, and in its place is the golden, fragrant, and steady pulse of the mill, carrying you ever deeper into the stillness of the night. You close your eyes, letting the scent and the sound wash over you, and you feel the last lingering traces of tension leave your body, replaced by a deep, resonant calm that belongs to the heart of the earth. The rhythmic pulse of the mill has become the only reality you recognize, a steady hypnotic beat that regulates the flow of your thoughts and the depths of your breathing. Inside this ancient stone chamber, the world has been distilled to its most basic, honest elements: the cool, grounding touch of the granite walls, the warmth of the glowing hearth, the rich, intoxicating scent of the crushed olives, and the golden, viscous flow of the oil itself. You watch as the miller continues his work, his movements marked by a deliberate, unhurried grace that defies the passage of time. There is no urgency in his gestures, only the practiced, rhythmic repetition of a task he has mastered over a lifetime. Each rotation of the massive wooden screw is a testament to the patient, enduring nature of his craft, and you find yourself sinking your own awareness to this slow, deliberate pace. The creak of the press, once a strange and novel sound, has become a comforting, reliable presence, a sonic anchor that holds you steady in the deep, silent waters of the night. The air is heavy, not with oppression, but with the dense, saturated essence of the harvest. It is a thick, velvet atmosphere that seems to cushion the room, creating an island of peace within the rugged, unpredictable landscape of the Cretan mountains. You find that your senses have become remarkably acute. You can track the path of the golden liquid as it traverses the stone basin, the subtle changes in its color as it reflects the shifting light of the lamps, and the way the shadows on the vaulted ceiling dance in perfect haunting unison with the miller's labor. It is a mesmerizing, almost transcendental experience, one that invites you to strip away the complex, unnecessary layers of your own identity and simply exist as a part of the present moment. You feel as though you are finally seeing for the first time the beauty in the mundane, the grace in the repetitive, and the profound grounding power of honest manual work. You lean back against the stone, your body heavy and relaxed, and you allow the atmosphere of the mill to permeate your very being. The worries that usually dog your steps, the anxieties of the digital age, the demands of your career, the endless frantic search for meaning, all these things have lost their weight here. In the presence of the olive press, in the quiet golden warmth of the hearth, they seem like distant, fading echoes of a life you once led but have now left behind. You have entered a space of total unconditional rest, a sanctuary where the only requirement is to be present, to witness, and to accept. The miller, meanwhile, continues his cycle, his silhouette a dark, constant presence against the glowing embers of the fire. He is a man who knows that his work is his contribution, his small essential act of stewardship in the cycle of the seasons, and he performs it with a dignity that is profoundly moving. There is a deep, resonant intelligence in the way the meal is constructed, an understanding of the balance between the human, the animal, and the elemental. The stone provides the structure, the wood provides the mechanism, the fire provides the warmth, and the olive provides the sustenance. It is a perfect, closed loop, a system of survival and renewal that has persisted because it is efficient, necessary, and inherently noble. You feel a surge of gratitude for the people who built this, for the people who have maintained it, and for the fact that this specific quiet corner of history has been preserved for you to experience. You are not just sitting in a room, you're sitting in the center of an ancient human triumph over the difficulties of existence. You are sitting in the heart of peace. As the hours continue to flow like the oil itself, you find that your mind has achieved a state of rare, translucent clarity. The internal noise that usually dictates your mood has fallen silent, replaced by the deep, resonant rhythm of the press. You feel as if you are finally truly in touch with yourself, stripped of the expectations of others and the artificial pressures of the world. You are at peace, not because the world has changed, but because you have found a place where your soul can rest. The night is deep, the fire is bright, and the meal continues its slow golden work, a testament to the fact that no matter how loud the world may get, there is always a quiet rhythmic center to be found if you know where to look. You close your eyes, content, and allow yourself to be carried deeper into the warm golden stillness of the Cretan night, knowing that for as long as the press turns, everything will be well. The deep, resonant silence of the Cretan mountains outside is a silent velvet backdrop against which the interior of the mill shines with an intense amber brilliance. You find yourself utterly lost in the rhythm, a state of being where your own breathing has become so quiet that it feels as though the mill is doing the breathing for you. Each movement of the heavy timber press, with its deep guttural creak, feels like the earth's own heartbeat, a reminder that we are all tethered to the slow, enduring pulse of the planet. The air is so thick with the intoxicating scent of the harvest, a heady, complex mixture of green acidity, peppery brightness, and the deep, musky sweetness of the earth, that it feels like you are consuming the very essence of the season with every breath. You have reached a level of sensory immersion where you no longer feel like a guest. You feel like an intrinsic, necessary part of the architecture, as solid and enduring as the stone walls themselves. The miller, a figure of enduring patience, continues his work with the same unhurried, masterful precision he demonstrated at the start of the night. He is the anchor of this room, the human embodiment of the cycles that define this island. He knows, perhaps better than anyone, that the quality of the oil is in direct proportion to the restraint of the miller. He does not force the press, he coaxes it, guiding the movement of the screw with a light, confident touch that speaks of decades of experience. You watch his hands weathered and strong as they interact with the wood, and you are struck by the profound silent intimacy of his craft. He does not need machines, he does not need electricity, and he does not need the chaos of the city. He needs only the stone, the fruit, the fire, and the steady, reliable grace of his own labor. In this, he is the richest man you have ever known. You shift your position on the stone floor, feeling the cool, firm surface beneath you. It is a grounding sensation, one that helps you shed the last clinging layers of your modern identity. The stress of the future, the weight of the past, the persistent buzzing anxiety of things left undone, all these have been washed away by the relentless golden flow of the oil. You look at the amphorae, filling slowly with the lifeblood of the trees, and you realize that you are witnessing a miracle that is as old as civilization. This liquid is sustenance, it is fuel, it is light, it is beauty. It is the very material of existence, captured and contained in the simplest of ways. You feel a profound, overwhelming sense of gratitude, not just for the oil, but for the quiet, hidden, and often forgotten ways in which the world provides for those who are willing to wait. The hearth fire has settled into a deep, glowing bed of red-orange embers, a source of constant, radiating warmth that keeps the mountain chill at bay. The light it casts is intimate and soft, turning the interior of the mill into a space of domestic sanctuary. You watch the flickering shadows on the high vaulted ceiling, and you feel as though you are inside a living, breathing creature. The building protects you, the fire warms you, the oil sustains you, and the rhythm of the press calms you. You are held in a web of simple, essential comforts, and for the first time in years, you do not feel the urge to change anything, to improve anything, or to reach for anything. You are already in the place you have been looking for. The quiet, golden heart of the mountain has opened itself to you, and in its warmth, you have found a version of yourself that is soft, resilient, and deeply, truly at rest. As the night continues its slow journey toward dawn, you feel your spirit expanding to fill the space. You are no longer just a person in a room, you are a consciousness woven into the fabric of the mill. You feel the weight of the stone, the grain of the wood, the heat of the fire, and the flow of the oil as if they were your own. It is a profound meditative experience, one that leaves you feeling cleansed and whole. The miller continues his work, a silent, rhythmic silhouette against the glowing hearth, and you feel a deep, brotherly love for him, this man who has shared his sanctuary with you without a word. The world of noise is a million miles away, and here in the golden, fragrant, and steady pulse of the mill, you are finally, fully at peace. You close your eyes, the last of your restlessness drifting away on the scent of the olives, and you drift deeper into the heart of the night, cradled by the simple ancient rhythm of the earth. The air in the mill has become so thick with the intoxicating, peppery scent of crushed olives that it feels almost like a solid element, a fragrant, protective atmosphere that shields the mind from the intrusion of any external thought. You remain in your place by the stone wall, watching as the miller moves through his well-worn routines. The sound of your wooden press, that deep groaning melody of stressed timber, has become the constant foundation of your reality, a sound that vibrates through the floor and up into your own bones. It is a slow, rhythmic pulse that mirrors the very movement of the seasons, a cycle of harvest and labor that has defined this valley for over a millennium. There is no urgency here, only the steady, inexorable progress of the press, which turns with the weight of tradition and the inevitability of the earth's own cycles. You find that your own breathing has synchronized perfectly with the rhythm of the work. You inhale as the miller reaches for the lever, and you exhale as he leans his weight into the beam, the timber sighing in response. This synchronization creates a sense of profound, almost mystical belonging. You are not an outsider looking into a scene. You are a constituent part of the mill itself, as integrated as the stones of the walls or the iron rings on the doors. The flickering orange glow of the hearth illuminates the chamber in soft, dancing bursts, highlighting the textures of the stone, the grain of the olive wood press, and the smooth, cool surfaces of the terracotta amphorae that wait to receive their golden burden. You find yourself focusing on the smallest details, the way the lamplight refracts through a single drop of oil, the subtle variations in the color of the stone, the way the shadows reach and retreat like a living tide. Each detail is a revelation of the richness of the present moment, a reminder that we miss so much of the world because we are too busy looking forward to tomorrow. The miller pauses again, his movements reflecting a deep, somatic knowledge of his materials. He reaches into the press, adjusting the layers of the woven reed mats that hold the olive mash, his touch light and sensitive. He knows that the oil is at its best when it is treated with this level of reverence, when the process is allowed to unfold without haste. He looks toward the corner where you sit, his face partially obscured by shadow, and there is a fleeting gentle smile, a recognition of the common humanity that connects you across the centuries. He is the master of this space, the steward of its history, and yet he offers you this moment of connection, this invitation to participate in the quiet, noble reality of his labor. You feel a surge of gratitude that is almost overwhelming. You realize that you have come to this place to find a refuge, and you have found it not in a grand architecture or a complicated philosophy, but in the simple, humble, and beautiful act of pressing oil. The fire in the hearth provides a soft, radiating warmth that combats the damp mountain chill of the night. It is a comforting, essential presence, a reminder of the human need for light and heat in the vast, indifferent expanse of the natural world. As the fire crackles and pops, sending tiny golden sparks upward toward the vaulted ceiling, you find that your mind has achieved a state of absolute, unburdened stillness. The chatter of the modern world, the incessant demands, the digital noise, the fragmented attention has completely vanished. In its place is a wide open horizon of silence, a canvas upon which you can finally, for the first time in a very long time, truly see yourself. You are not your career, you are not your possessions, and you are not your worries. You are simply a consciousness that is witnessing the world, a part of the vast, intricate web of life that sustains itself through such humble and beautiful processes. The oil continues to flow into the terracotta jars, a slow, viscous cascade of sunlight captured in liquid form. You watch it with a sense of wonder, realizing that this golden substance is the result of thousands of tiny unseen acts, the growth of the trees, the labor of the pickers, the construction of the press, the maintenance of the mill, and the dedicated patient work of the man standing before you. It is a communal effort, a legacy of cooperation that stretches back to the dawn of time. You feel deeply moved by this, a sense of belonging to the great unbroken chain of humanity that has worked the earth and sought to thrive. The mill is not just a building. It is a symbol of our resilience, our ingenuity, and our capacity to find beauty in the most basic of tasks. As the rhythm of the press continues to hum in the background, you feel a deep, resonant peace settling into the very marrow of your being, a permanent, golden stillness that you will carry with you long after the fire has dimmed and the doors of the mill have been opened to the dawn. The atmosphere inside the mill has reached a state of sublime, quiet perfection, as if the chamber itself has been waiting for this exact moment for centuries. You remain motionless, your back pressed against the cool ancient stone, feeling the faint, rhythmic tremors of the press as it works its way through the dense olive mash. The smell is no longer just a scent, it is a physical weight, a rich, intoxicating shroud of green fruit, wood smoke, and the damp, cool scent of deep earth. You find that your mind has completely emptied of its usual clutter, the persistent noise of the modern world having been replaced by the steady, hypnotic cadence of the miller's labor. Every creak of the timber, every soft, wet drip of the oil, and every crackle of the hearth fire serves as a meditative focus, drawing you deeper into a state of profound, resonant peace. You are witnessing the very essence of human continuity, a ritual of harvest that has been perfected over thousands of years. And in this sanctuary of stone and shadow, you feel entirely, completely safe. If you have found a sanctuary in these words and wish to continue this journey through the quiet corridors of history, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. Your support is the thread that keeps these stories woven, allowing us to build a home for those seeking a respite from the relentless pace of the present. By becoming a part of our community, you help preserve the value of stillness, the beauty of manual craft, and the wisdom of the past. Thank you for choosing to spend these precious hours with us in the mill, and we look forward to sharing the next chapter of history with you. The miller steps back from the press, his silhouette framed by the glowing orange embers of the hearth. He is a study in calm, his posture relaxed despite the immense repetitive physical labor he has performed throughout the long night. He reaches for a wooden ladle and dips it into the stone basin, lifting a portion of the golden, viscous liquid to examine it in the firelight. The oil catches the glow, shimmering with a deep, liquid brilliance that seems to hold the light of a thousand summer suns. He nods to himself, a small private gesture of approval, and pours the oil into a fresh amphora. The sound is a melodic liquid song, a slow and rhythmic pouring that signals the success of the harvest. You watch him, fascinated by the ease with which he works, his entire being aligned with the purpose of the moment. There is no doubt, no hesitation, no questioning. There is only the work, and the work is good. You feel a profound, soul deep gratitude for this experience. It is not just about the olive oil, it is about the rediscovery of the fundamental, simple beauty of existence. In a world that often feels fractured, hurried, and hollow, the meal stands as a testament to the fact that we are capable of creating things that are enduring, nourishing, and deeply, truly satisfying. You realize that the peace you have found here is something you can take with you, a mental architecture you can construct within yourself whenever the world outside becomes too loud. You have learned that silence is not empty, that labor is not burden, and that time is not a master to be served, but a river to be navigated with patience and grace. You are a different person than the one who entered this room hours ago, and you are thankful for the transformation. As the hearth light begins to dim, the shadows in the room seem to deepen and soften, as if the meal itself is preparing for the slow approach of the morning. You watch the miller as he meticulously cleans the wooden surfaces of the press, his movements as careful and reverent as if he were tending to a sacred altar. He is ensuring that everything is ready for the next time, that the cycle remains unbroken, and that the history of this place is honored. You find your own eyelids growing heavy, the exhaustion you feel being the sweet, heavy fatigue of a day well spent, even if you were only a witness. The world is at peace, the harvest is secure, and you are entirely content to simply sit here, held in the cradle of the mountain, surrounded by the scent of the earth and the golden rhythmic promise of the oil. Everything is quiet, everything is golden, everything is at peace. The quiet within the mill has deepened into a sacred, almost tangible stillness, a silence so profound that it seems to have a texture of its own. You find that you can hear the faint microscopic shifting of the stones in the wall, the slow tectonic settling of the mountain itself. The miller continues his work, his movements now so rhythmic and predictable that you have stopped watching him entirely, your eyes instead fixed on the steady golden flow of the oil as it cascades from the press. It is a mesmerizing sight, a liquid ribbon of light that binds the present moment to the ancient history of this island. You feel a strange sense of expansion, as if the walls of the mill are no longer the boundaries of your world, but merely a point of focus in a vast, silent landscape of history and earth. The scent of the crushed olives has reached a peak of intensity, a rich, complex, and deeply nurturing aroma that feels as though it is feeding your very spirit. You are no longer just sitting in a room. You are participating in a fundamental, elemental truth, a cycle of creation that has remained unchanged since humanity first discovered the bounty of the land. The hearth, though, now reduced to a glowing bed of white-hot ash and pulsing deep red embers, continues to provide a gentle, pervasive warmth that keeps the chill of the high mountain night at bay. Every once in a while, the miller feeds the fire a small, dry branch of olive wood, and the sudden sharp scent of wood smoke, mingling with the heavy perfume of the oil, creates a nostalgic, evocative atmosphere that pulls at your heartstrings. It reminds you of all the hearths that have burned since the dawn of time, of all the families that have gathered around the fire to share food, stories, and the hard-won survival of the winter. You feel a deep, resonant connection to these forgotten generations, a recognition that despite the colossal shifts in technology and society, the core human experience, the need for warmth, the need for food, the need for the quiet company of others, has remained remarkably constant. As you lean back against the cool, solid stone of the wall, you allow yourself to drift into a state of semi-consciousness where the lines between reality and dream begin to blur in the most beautiful way. You feel the vibration of the press in your spine, a gentle pulsing thrum that reminds you of the deep subterranean rhythms of the earth. You are no longer bothered by the passage of time. The idea of later or sooner has completely lost its meaning. There is only the now, and the now is golden, fragrant, and profoundly, eternally still. You are completely and utterly at rest, the last remnants of your ego having dissolved into the atmosphere of the meal. You are a silent observer of a silent process, a witness to the slow, steady alchemy of the harvest. The miller moves toward the heavy iron-barred doors, not to open them, but to check the seal, ensuring that the sanctity of the room remains uncompromised. He pauses, his hand resting on the cold, weathered wood of the door, and for a moment he seems to be listening to the silence of the mountain night. He turns, his face illuminated by the dying embers of the hearth, and you see a look of profound, quiet satisfaction. He knows that his duty is being fulfilled, that the harvest is being honored, and that the village will have its oil. He returns to the press, his steps light and silent, and resumes his work. You feel a deep brotherly love for him, a sense of shared purpose that transcends language. You are two souls in a stone room, united by the rhythm of the harvest, and that is enough. You find that you are no longer thinking in words, but in images, sensations, and rhythms. You see the silver green leaves of the trees swaying in the moonlight. You feel the rough texture of the olives in your hand. You hear the groan of the timber, and you smell the rich, peppery, fertile scent of the mountain soil. It is a sensory, non-verbal language that speaks directly to the soul, a language of deep, resonant understanding. You have arrived at a place of total, absolute peace, a place where the world can no longer hurt you, because you have let go of the parts of yourself that can be hurt. The meal has become your world, and it is a world of golden abundance, of quiet, steady labor, and of the profound, simple beauty of existence. You close your eyes, the last of your awareness settling into the warm, steady pulse of the room, and you allow yourself to be carried away by the rhythm of the press, deeper and deeper into the serene, timeless night of Crete. Everything is in rhythm, everything is in peace. You are home. The air within the stone walls of the mill has achieved a state of complete, unwavering equilibrium, where the temperature, the scent, and the sound have all melded into a singular, immersive experience of grace. You remain in your corner, a quiet sentinel in the dark, watching the miller as he continues his work with the same unhurried, rhythmic precision that has defined the entire night. The massive wooden screw of the press, now polished to a high dark sheen by the sheer number of rotations it has performed, continues its slow downward journey, biting deeper into the layers of olive mesh. Each groan of the timber is a deep resonant note in the lullaby of the mill, a sound that vibrates through the very floor beneath you and centers your consciousness in the present moment. The golden oil, which has been flowing steadily for hours, has now filled several of the large terracotta amphorae, their dark porous surfaces sweating with the coolness of the subterranean storage. You watch as the miller moves between the jars, checking the levels, his silhouette constantly shifting and reforming against the amber glow of the dying heart, a master of a domain where time has no currency. If you have found your own sanctuary in these words, we invite you to subscribe to the channel, ensuring that you remain part of this shared journey into the quiet, forgotten corners of history. Each subscription serves as a reminder that there are many of us scattered across the modern world who still crave the stillness, the simplicity, and the profound, grounding truth of the past. Your support allows us to continue building these immersive, restorative experiences, bringing the peace of the Cretan mountains into homes around the globe. Thank you for your presence, your attention, and your willingness to step out of the noise and into the light of the miller's heart. The miller eventually stops the press, the silence that follows being as significant as the sound that preceded it. He stands in the middle of the room, his chest rising and falling in a deep, slow rhythm, and he looks up at the vaulted ceiling as if offering a silent prayer of gratitude to the mountain itself. The air is so quiet that you can hear the settling of the embers in the hearth, a tiny crackling chorus of cooling ash. He walks over to the table and pours a small portion of the fresh golden liquid into a shallow clay dish. He does not drink it immediately. He brings it close to his face, inhaling the aroma, his eyes closing in pure, unadulterated appreciation. It is a moment of raw, human connection to the product of the earth, a sensory acknowledgement of the success of the harvest. He then turns his gaze toward you, and for the first time, he offers a soft, genuine nod of inclusion, acknowledging that you too have been a part of the night. You feel a profound sense of closure. The work is done, the oil is secured, and the night has fulfilled its promise of peace. There is no desire to leave, no urge to return to the world outside, for the peace you have cultivated here has become a permanent, internal state. You understand now that the mill is not just a physical location, but a mental space, a place where the chaos of existence is filtered out, leaving only the essential, the beautiful, and the true. The stone walls may be cold, but the interior of your heart is warm, filled with the golden, peppery light of the harvest. You have learned the value of the wait, the dignity of the repetition, and the absolute power of being completely, entirely present. As the miller begins to extinguish the oil lamps, one by one, the room slowly descends into a soft velvet darkness, broken only by the dim, pulsing glow of the hearth. The shadows stretch and reach until the entire meal is cloaked in a protective, comforting mantle of night. You find that you are not afraid of this darkness. Instead, it feels like a heavy, warm blanket, wrapping you in safety and stillness. Your breathing remains calm, your thoughts remain clear, and your spirit feels light, as if a great, unnecessary burden has been lifted from your shoulders. The world continues to turn. The stars continue to drift across the Cretan sky. And here, in the heart of the mountain, you are at rest. The rhythm of the press has left an indelible mark on your soul, a steady, quiet beat that will guide you in the days to come. You close your eyes, the scent of the olive oil lingering in the air, like a final gentle benediction, and you surrender to the stillness of the deep golden night. You are complete, you are grounded, and you are finally at peace. The dawn is approaching, though here in the deep belly of the mountain, the transition from night to day is marked not by the sun, but by the subtle shift in the air's temperature and the deepening silence of the forest outside. You have remained in your place throughout the final hours of the watch, feeling as though you have been crystallized in a moment of perfect eternal balance. The miller has long since finished his labor, and the mill is currently a space of profound dormant power. The heavy wooden press, now cleared of the spent mesh, stands like a silent sentinel in the center of the chamber, its massive dark form silhouetted against the green light filtering in through the high narrow slits of the stone walls. You feel a strange, lingering reverence for this piece of equipment. It has performed its duty with unflinching dedication, a silent partner in the preservation of life. The golden oil, safely stored in a row of terracotta amphorae, radiates a sense of quiet abundance, a treasure that represents the combination of a full year's growth, struggle, and perseverance. You find that the stillness has become your own. There is no longer a gap between your thoughts and the environment. You are entirely submerged in the sanctuary you have helped to guard. The floor beneath you, once cold and unyielding, now feels like a foundation of absolute stability, a part of the mountain itself that has offered you its strength and silence. You realize that you have undergone a quiet, necessary shedding of the ego. The things that once seemed vital, the need to be noticed, the need to achieve, the need to control the outcome of your life, have been replaced by a deep, resonant understanding of your own place in the larger, slower rhythm of the world. You are a human being, and your role is not to master the earth, but to participate in it with humility and care. The miller, sleeping now on a simple bench near the hearth, is the embodiment of this truth. He does not own the mountain, he serves it. And in that service, he has found a freedom that no amount of wealth or status could ever provide. As the first faint blue light of morning begins to seep through the upper reaches of the wall, you watch the room transform. The shadows, once deep and impenetrable, begin to lose their edge, revealing the textures of the stone, the dust motes dancing in the cooling air, and the beautiful honest utility of every tool hanging on the walls. The mill is no longer a dark secret place. It is a workshop, a place of industry and sustenance, but it carries the sacred energy of the night with it. You feel a pull toward the exit, a realization that your time as a silent witness is drawing to a close. Yet the thought of leaving does not bring the usual anxiety. You are not running away from the world anymore. You are returning to it with a new foundation. You have been tempered by the silence, refined by the rhythm of the press, and nourished by the atmosphere of the harvest. You stand slowly, your joints feeling stiff from the long hours of stillness, and you stretch, feeling the blood return to your limbs. The movement feels profound, a re-engagement with the physical reality of your own body. You look at the mirror one last time, a silent nod of thanks to the man who allowed you to share his space without condition. He does not stir his sleep, the deep restorative rest of a man who has fulfilled his purpose. You walk toward the heavy oak doors, the wood cool and solid beneath your touch. The mechanism of the latch is simple and heavy, an iron relic of a time when security was a matter of physical strength and communal trust. You lift the bar, and the door creaks open just enough for a sliver of the fresh, crisp, dew-laden air of the Cretan morning to spill into the room. It is a sharp, invigorating scent, rosemary, thyme, wet limestone, and the distant, cooling breath of the sea. You step outside, and for a moment the vast, expansive beauty of the mountain slope takes your breath away. The sky is a pale, translucent violet, turning to gold at the horizon, and the silver-leaved olive trees are shimmering with the first light of day. The world feels enormous, fresh, and full of possibility, but you are not overwhelmed. You carry the stillness of the mill within you, a private internal compass that points toward the center. You turn back to look at the mill one last time, a small, unassuming building of rough hewn stone nestled into the hillside, and you realize that you will never truly leave it behind. You have found the center of your own life, the golden rhythmic pulse that beats beneath the noise. And you know that whenever you need to return, the mountain, the mill, and the silent, patient work of the earth will be there, waiting for you to come home. You turn away from the mountain, but your steps are light, your spirit is clear, and for the first time in your life, you're perfectly, profoundly at peace. The journey has not ended. It has only just begun, guided by the quiet wisdom of the harvest and the golden light of the Cretan dawn. The transition from the cool subterranean sanctuary of the mill to the expansive awakening landscape of the Cretan hillside is a sensory revelation. As you stand on the threshold, the crisp morning air, heavy with the dew-softened scent of wild mountain thyme and distant saline breeze, acts as a gentle bracing invitation to re-enter the world of light and movement. The valley below is still draped in a soft, lilac-tinted mist, an ethereal shroud that clings to the base of the gnarled ancient olive trees that march up the slopes in uneven, defiant rows. These trees, some of which have witnessed centuries of human toil and triumph, stand as stoic guardians of the mountain. You look at them with new eyes, no longer just scenery. They are now the protagonists of the story you have just witnessed, the living, breathing contributors to the golden oil that sustains the life of this land. Each silver green leaf, catching the burgeoning light, feels like a tiny, vibrating link in a chain of existence that you have finally understood. You walk slowly down the winding rocky path, your feet finding purchase on the uneven limestone, your body feeling strangely light, as if the physical weight of your worries was shared somewhere within the thick walls of the mill. The path is bordered by wildflowers, pale, delicate blossoms that have yet to unfurl in the growing heat of the day. You find yourself stopping to observe the way the light catches a spider's web strung between two stalks of lavender, a fragile, intricate masterpiece of survival and patience. This level of detail, this capacity to see the miraculous in the mundane, is the first gift of the meal. It is a refinement of the senses, a clearing of the static that usually clouds our perception of the living world. You feel as though you have been tuned to a frequency that is more attuned to the rhythms of nature, and you move with a deliberate, appreciative caution that is new to you. As you reach the lower slope, you see the distant, smudged outline of the village, a cluster of whitewashed stone houses that seem to emerge organically from the hillside. Smoke begins to rise in thin, lazy ribbons from the chimneys, a communal sign that the day has begun in earnest. You realize that while you have spent your night in the solitary focused labor of the mill, the rest of the world has been dreaming, and now it is preparing for the business of living. There is a deep, comforting camaraderie in this realization that life is a continuous collective effort and that you are returning to a community that functions on the same basic principles of labor, sustenance, and survival. You are no longer an observer of this life. You feel like an honorary participant, a traveler who has been initiated into the secret golden language of the mountain. You sit for a while on a flat, sun-warmed rock overlooking the valley, the morning sun now painting the landscape in vibrant shades of gold, ochre, and deep verdant green. You find yourself reflecting on the man in the mill. You do not know his name, you do not know his history, and yet the impression he has left on your spirit is indelible. He represented a type of humanity that is often overlooked in the modern rush. The human as a steward, as a patient conduit for the land's bounty. He did not seek to improve the meal. He did not seek to optimize the harvest. He sought only to be a faithful servant to the process. There is a profound, almost radical humility in that stance, a rejection of the ego-driven need to dominate or control. It is a philosophy of existence that you realize you have been starving for, a way of being that honors the inherent worth of the task and the sacredness of the cycle. You stand up, brushing the dust from your clothes, and begin the final stretch of your journey toward the village. Your heart is light, your head is clear, and you carry within you the stillness of the mill as a quiet, protective fortress. You understand now that peace is not a destination you reach, it is a space you create within yourself, a state of mind that can be accessed anywhere if you have the discipline to listen for the rhythm. You have learned that the world of noise, of technology, and of endless expectation is not the only world, the world of the heart. You walk forward, not with the frantic, restless energy of someone who is seeking, but with the measured, steady stride of someone who has finally, after a long and arduous journey, come home to their own soul. The morning has fully arrived. The birds are singing in the terraces, and the path ahead is open, golden, and waiting to be walked. Part 23. The morning grows brighter as you descend further into the valley. The golden sunlight now completely melting the lingering violet mists that had poured overnight between the terraced hills. The landscape is fully awake, buzzing with the subtle symphonic activity of insects and the clear melodious calls of mountain birds darting through the ancient olive groves. You move down the track with a smooth, unhurried stride, feeling the gentle rhythmic flexing of your muscles and the solid reassurance of the earth beneath your boots. Every detail of the landscape seems loaded with meaning now. The deep ancient fissures in the limestone boulders, the vibrant green moss growing on the shaded sides of the dry stone walls, and the way the silver green leaves of the trees twist in the morning breeze to expose their pale shimmering undersides. You find yourself feeling entirely connected to this environment, no longer a stranger passing through a foreign country, but a traveler who has been granted a rare, intimate view into the deep, quiet soul of the land. The stillness you cultivated during the long, amber-lit night within the mill remains within you, a dense protective core that cushions you against the sudden expansiveness of the day. You realize that your mind has achieved a state of profound clarity, a wide open horizon where thoughts no longer jostle for attention but arise and fade like the gentle clouds drifting across the Cretan sky. You reflect on the sheer simplicity of what you witnessed, the crushing of fruit, the turning of wood, the flowing of oil, and how that basic, unadorned sequence of events managed to peel away the thick layers of modern anxiety that you had carried for so long. The miller's quiet dedication taught you that true satisfaction is not found in the grandiosity of our achievements, but in the precision, care, and presence we bring to our daily repetitions. It is a liberating realization, one that shifts the focus of your life from the distant, uncertain future to the rich, tactile reality of the immediate present. As the village draws nearer, you begin to cross the boundaries of individual family plots, marked by low walls built from stones cleared from the soil over generations. You see an old woman stepping out of a low stone house, her dark dress a sharp contrast against the whitewashed walls as she throws a handful of grain to a flock of eager chickens. She does not see you, or perhaps she is simply too accustomed to the presence of strangers on the path to notice. But her simple domestic action brings a sudden warm smile to your face. It is another piece of the mosaic, another manifestation of the quiet, enduring patterns of survival and connection that make up the life of this mountain. You feel an immense respect for these people, for their resilience, and for their ability to maintain a harmonious relationship with a landscape that is as beautiful as it is demanding and rugged. You pause by a small, stone-built wellhead located at a crossroads in the path, the water inside, reflecting a tiny perfect circle of the brilliant blue sky above. You drop a bucket into the depths, listening to the hollow, echoing splash, and pull up a measure of water that is shockingly cold and pure. As you drink, the metallic sweet taste of the mountain water washes away the lingering, heavy richness of the olive oil scent from your throat, a clean and refreshing transition that signals the beginning of a new phase of your journey. You splash the remaining water over your face and neck, the icy shock causing you to gasp and then laugh out loud into the empty lane, a spontaneous release of pure joy and vitality that feels entirely natural and long overdue. You are alive, you are awake, and you are completely aligned with the world around you. The path finally flattens out as you enter the village proper, the cobblestones smooth and cool beneath your feet, worn down by the passages of thousands of animals and humans over the centuries. The village square is quiet, the shadows of the plane trees stretching long across the empty cafe tables, where old men will soon gather to talk about the harvest, the weather, and the news from the coast. You walk through this peaceful waking settlement with a deep sense of contentment, knowing that you carry a piece of the mountain secret within you. You have seen the source of the oil that will soon flavor their food and light their lamps, and you understand the human cost and the sacred patience required to produce it. You move toward the edge of the village, where the road leads out toward a wider world, but your steps are no longer hurried or anxious. You are a guardian of the silence now, a disciple of the press, and wherever you go, the golden light of the mill will remain burning steady and bright in the quiet center of your soul. Everything is as it should be, and you are ready for whatever the path brings next. The village is beginning to stir, a slow, gentle transition from the deep, undisturbed slumber of the night to the rhythmic, industrious pace of the morning. You find yourself walking past houses where the shutters are being thrown open, revealing glimpses of simple, beautifully arranged rooms. The scent of strong, dark coffee now competing with the sharp, clean fragrance of the morning dew. A baker, his white apron dusted with flour, emerges from his shop with a tray of golden, crusty loaves, the warmth emanating from them, creating a momentary island of comfort in the cool, crisp air. You watch the way he interacts with the space, his movements echoing the same economy and grace you observed in the miller. There is a universal language here, a shared understanding that to live well is to engage with one's craft, to participate in the sustenance of the community, and to respect the materials provided by the earth. You feel as though you are finally beginning to understand the architecture of a good life, one built not on the acquisition of things, but on the depth of one's connection to the process of living. As you reach the periphery of the village, the road begins to wind downward, following the natural contours of the hillside as it descends toward the coastal plains. The ocean once just a distant, shimmering promise on the horizon, now begins to reveal itself in flashes of brilliant sapphire blue, sparkling through the gaps in the olive trees and the dark, fragrant groves of cypress. The sea represents the wider world, the vast, unpredictable expanse that usually pulls at the edges of your awareness, demanding your attention and your energy. Yet, as you look upon it, you feel no pull, no sudden rush of anxiety or need to be elsewhere. The stillness you brought down from the mountain is a powerful anchor, a deep, resonant calm that keeps you centered. You realize that you have moved past the need to be defined by the sea's vastness or the mountain's height. You are content to simply be where you are, a transient point of consciousness in a landscape that has existed long before you and will continue long after you are gone. You find a small stone-walled terrace overlooking a steep drop-off where a cluster of wild rosemary grows in thick woody clumps. You sit down on the edge, your legs dangling over the descent, and allow yourself a moment to breathe in the expansive view. The sky is an endless, flawless canvas of pale cerulean, and the air feels lighter, cleaner, and more vibrant than it has in years. This is the moment when the experience of the night fully integrates into the fabric of your identity. You recognize that the journey into the mountains was not an escape, but a return. You were never meant to be lost in the noise of the digital wilderness, nor were you meant to be consumed by the relentless artificial acceleration of modern time. You were meant for this, the slow, steady, and deliberate appreciation of the world, the lesson of the meal, the patience of the harvest, the sanctity of the work, and the beauty of the present is now your own to keep and to nurture. A group of local laborers walks by on the lower path, their voices low and melodic, their bodies lean and strong from a life of outdoor labor. They carry baskets of fresh fruit and pruning tools, their laughter echoing briefly in the clear morning air. They are the living expression of the rhythm you have been observing, the human agents who turn the potential of the mountain into the reality of the harvest. You watch them pass with a deep sense of affinity. You are no longer a spectator of their life, but someone who understands, however slightly, the weight of their tools and the satisfaction of their labor. There is no jealousy in this, only a profound silent validation. They live in the world of the real, and for the first time, you are standing there with them, feet firmly planted on the ground, mind focused on the reality of the moment. The horizon beckons, the road is clear, and the world outside the mountain is waiting to be re-entered. But you do not feel the urge to speed up or to rush toward the next thing. You rise, dust off your clothes, and begin to walk, your pace as steady and rhythmic as the pulse of the earth itself. You know that the noise of the city, the demands of the career, and the chaotic complexity of your old life will still be there, but they no longer have the power to define you. You are bringing a piece of the sanctuary with you, a golden, persistent ember of the miller's hearth, a quiet, ancient rhythm that will beat beneath the surface of all you do. You are not the same person who left home. You have been remade by the mountain, refined by the oil, and polished by the silence. You walk into the wider world with a new resilient core, a testament to the fact that, even in the most hurried of times, it is always possible to find your way back to the heart of the harvest, to the center of the silence, and to the eternal golden peace that resides within. Everything ahead of you is a continuation of this journey, and you are ready, fully present, and profoundly at peace. The descent from the mountains is a slow, meditative retreat from the heights of the spirit back into the fabric of the everyday. Yet, the world feels entirely transformed by the experience of the night. As you move through the winding lower passes, the sun climbs higher, washing the landscape in an uncompromising, brilliant light that makes every detail, the craggy limestone, the dust on the path, the stubborn resilience of the mountain shrubs, seem vivid and significant. You are no longer merely passing through this environment. You are observing it with the eyes of a witness, someone who understands that this land is not just a backdrop for human activity, but a living, breathing entity that dictates the tempo of existence. The heavy, lingering scent of the olive press has gradually faded, replaced by the sharp, invigorating smell of dry earth, wild lavender, and the faint briny tang of the approaching sea. It is a transition that feels intentional, a cleansing of the senses as you prepare to re-enter the currents of the wider world. You stop by a small ruined stone structure that once must have been a shepherd's shelter, sitting amidst a grove of ancient, gnarled trees that look like frozen, silent witnesses to 1,000 years of history. The walls are crumbling, the roof is long gone, and the floor is carpeted with a thick, soft layer of thyme and dried grasses. You sit here in the silence, letting the sun warm your shoulders, and you find that your thoughts, once so prone to fragmenting and scattering in a dozen directions at once, have become remarkably unified. You have successfully carried the quietude of the mill down the mountain with you. It is a portable sanctuary, a mental space you can retreat into whenever the noise of the world threatens to overwhelm. You realize that the goal of your journey was never to find an answer, but to cultivate a capacity for stillness, a capacity for patience, and a capacity to be truly, fully present in the labor of one's own life. The path ahead begins to widen, transitioning from a narrow, rocky trail into a well-trodden dirt track that leads toward the distant shimmering coastline. You hear the faint rhythmic sound of a distant engine, perhaps a tractor or an old truck that serves as a reminder of the technological world you have been away from. It no longer sounds like an intrusion. It sounds like another expression of the same human need to move, to work, and to connect, just at a different frequency. You feel a deep, expansive sense of compassion for everyone you will meet on your return. The workers in the city, the families in the streets, the people lost in their own versions of the noise. With a quiet, unshakable certainty that they are all capable of finding their own hearth, their own press, their own moment of silence, if they could only learn to pause and wait for the rhythm to reveal itself. You reach the floor of the valley where the terrain flattens out, the olive groves giving way to small fenced-in orchards of almond and pomegranate, the trees heavy with the promise of the coming season. You pass a small roadside shrine, a simple whitewashed structure with a flickering lamp inside, and you pause for a brief moment of acknowledgement. It is a humble marker of the sacred, a way for the people of this land to pause and recognize the intangible beauty that underpins their hard physical existence. You feel a resonance with this practice. You have seen the sacred in the labor of the miller, in the glow of the hearth, and in the slow golden cascade of the oil. You carry this recognition with you as you walk, a hidden flame that illuminates your path even in the heat of the day. As the sun reaches its zenith, casting short, sharp shadows at your feet, you catch your first real, unobstructed view of the sea, a vast, shimmering expanse of turquoise and deep indigo that feels like the ultimate breath of freedom. The road ahead is long, but you are not tired. You have been fueled by the experience of the mountain, nourished by the simplicity of the truth you discovered in the dark of the mill. You are ready for the world. You are ready for the complexity, the rush, and the noise, because you know now that they are merely the surface ripples of a much deeper, much calmer sea. You have found a rhythm and you have made it your own. You walk forward with a steady, unhurried pace, your eyes fixed on the horizon, your heart aligned with the earth and your spirit completely at peace, ready to carry the golden light of the mountain into every corner of the life that awaits you. The transition into the coastal plains feels like moving into a different dimension of existence, one where the earth releases its grip on the sky and yields to the vast open horizon of the sea. As you walk further from the mountains, the landscape shifts from the rugged limestone-strewn hillsides of the Cretan interior to the fertile sweeping plains where the air carries a distinct salty sweetness. The heat of the midday sun is intense, yet you find that your endurance has been fundamentally altered, that the exhaustion that would have once forced you to seek the nearest shade has been replaced by a clean, resilient energy. You are moving with the steady, measured pace of a traveler who has nothing left to prove to the world, a person whose inner equilibrium is no longer dependent on external conditions. You reflect on the miles you have covered since the early hours of the morning, and you realize that the distance is not merely geographical, it is a profound journey of the spirit, a steady movement from the fragmented consciousness of your past life into the unified, grounded reality you discovered in the silence of the mill. You pass through fields where the grain is tall and dry, swaying in the hot rhythmic currents of the Mediterranean breeze. It is a golden rippling sea that mirrors the light of the sun, and you find yourself entranced by the sheer repetitive beauty of the movement. It is a visual echo of the oil as it flows into the amphora, a reminder that the world is built upon cycles of growth, transformation, and harvest. You understand now that every aspect of nature is a testament to the power of patience. The grain did not rush to reach this height, it simply responded to the sun, the soil, and the rain, following the ancient encoded instructions of its own being. You feel a deep brotherly empathy for the earth and all its processes, and you realize that your own life should not be an exception to this universal truth. You have spent too many years attempting to bypass the necessary stages of growth, searching for shortcuts to meaning and satisfaction, only to find that you were missing the very essence of the journey. A traveler's path is never just a road, it is a mirror as you encounter other people along the way. A farmer tending to a fence, a merchant driving a cart toward the harbor, a group of children play in the shadow of an old wall. You notice how differently you perceive them, You are no longer looking for their utility or judging their status. You are simply seeing them as fellow travelers, each bearing the weight of their own history, each moving through the same unfolding present. You find that you can listen more deeply, that you can observe with a patience that feels both new and strangely familiar. The arrogance of your former perspective has vanished, leaving behind a clear, receptive awareness that feels almost like a form of grace. You are a participant in the tapestry, no longer a critic trying to unravel the threads to understand the design. You stop at a small tavern located on the edge of a dusty white road where the scent of grilled fish and lemon mingles with the air. You sit at a wooden table that has been scrubbed smooth by generations of use, the surface bearing the scars and stains of countless meals. A glass of cold, clear water is set before you, and you drink it slowly, savoring the simple, vital act of quenching your thirst. The proprietor, an older man with skin like weathered parchment and eyes that seem to hold the wisdom of the island, brings you a plate of bread dipped in olive oil. You look down at the golden liquid, the same color as the oil from the meal, and you feel a profound emotional connection to the meal. You know the story of this oil. You know the labor it represents, the patience it required, and the sacred repetitive rhythm that brought it to your plate. You eat with a slow, deliberate reverence, fully present in the taste, the texture, and the simple, undeniable goodness of the food. The day begins to lean toward the afternoon, and the light takes on a warm, honeyed quality that softens the edges of the world. You have reached the coastal road, and the vast, infinite blue of the Mediterranean opens up before you, an expanse of water that seems to hold the history of 1,000 civilizations. You know that this journey is coming to its natural conclusion, but the feeling is not one of finality. It is more like a homecoming. You are returning to the world, but you are bringing the mountain with you. The silence of the meal is now a permanent part of your inner landscape, a sanctuary you can visit at any time. You stand on the shore, watching the rhythmic, relentless motion of the waves against the sand, and you realize that the sea is just another form of the same pulse you felt in the press. The world is built on rhythm, on the steady, inexorable movement of the tides, the seasons, and the turning of the earth. You are finally fully in sync with it. You take a deep, long breath of the sea air. Look toward the horizon where the sun is beginning its slow descent, and you feel the peace that has been cultivating within you bloom into an unshakable, quiet strength. You are ready for the path ahead. The sun begins its slow golden arc toward the horizon, painting the Mediterranean in a brilliant, fiery display of oranges, deep purples, and incandescent pinks. You find yourself walking along the coastal path, a route that winds between the edge of the cliffs and the lush terrace gardens that spill down toward the water. The rhythmic sound of the waves striking the rocks below acts as a natural soothing metronome, echoing the cadence you experienced in the meal. It is a profound meditative experience to walk in such harmony with the landscape, where every breath feels like an exchange with the vastness of the sea and the solid ancient reality of the earth. You are no longer measuring your journey by the distance remaining, but by the quality of your presence in each passing moment. The frantic, goal-oriented mindset that defined your past has completely evaporated, leaving behind a mind that is clear, alert, and deeply appreciative of the unfolding beauty of the evening. You reflect on the cumulative nature of this journey, the mountain, the mill, the miller's quiet labor, and the descent through the valley. All these stages have served to peel away the artificial constructs of your personality. You are not discarding your past, but rather refining it, separating the essential from the trivial in the same way the press separates the oil from the fruit. What remains is a core of stillness, a fundamental sense of self that is not dependent on circumstances, success, or external approval. It is a quiet, indestructible center that you carry like a burning ember, sheltered from the winds of the world by the very structure of your own discipline. You have learned that peace is not something you find in the absence of challenges, but something you build through the persistent, honest engagement with the tasks that life presents to you. As you approach the outskirts of a small port town, the landscape changes once again. The wild, rustic beauty of the coast gives way to the structured, human-centered environment of the harbor. You see the mass of fishing boats bobbing in the harbor, their hulls painted in vibrant colors, and you hear the distant melodic sounds of workers repairing nets and prepping their vessels for the next dawn. The transition into a place of human habitation is no longer jarring. You feel a sense of kinship with these people. You recognize the same underlying commitment to survival, to work, and to the maintenance of tradition that you witnessed on the mountain. They are the keepers of the rhythm, just as you have become, and you feel a deep brotherly gratitude for their presence. You are returning to the world of men and women, but you are bringing with you the perspective of the forest and the hearth. You find a small, quiet beach away from the busier docks, where the sand is cool and dark, and the water laps at the shore with a gentle whispering sound. You sit down on a smooth driftwood log and take off your boots, letting your feet sink into the soft, yielding sand. It is a moment of pure sensory immersion. The world has narrowed to the sensation of the sand, the sound of the water, and the vast cooling expanse of the twilight sky. You feel as though you are at the boundary between two worlds, the world of the solid terrestrial mountain and the world of the infinite liquid sea. You are balanced perfectly between them, and in this equilibrium, you find a profound lasting serenity. You are now waiting for the night to end, and you are not mourning the day. You are simply resting in the fullness of the moment. The town behind you begins to glow with the soft amber light of lanterns and street lamps, a beautiful twinkling constellation reflected in the harbor's calm water. You feel the pull of the world, the call of your life, as it waits for you. But it no longer feels like a burden. It feels like an opportunity, a chance to apply the lessons of the mill to the broader, more complex canvas of your existence. You have seen that beauty exists in the most humble of acts, that peace is a product of consistent effort, and that the world is at its heart a place of profound underlying order. You rise from the sand, feeling clean and renewed, and walk toward the town, your stride steady, your head held high, and your heart filled with the golden, enduring light of the journey you have taken. The path continues, but you are no longer the traveler you were. You are a person of the mountain, a witness to the harvest, and a keeper of the silence. You step into the evening, ready to bring this peace into the lives of those you meet, a beacon of the quiet golden truth you found in the heart of the Cretan night. The night has fully descended, wrapping the poor town in a velvet shroud of shadow and light, and the atmosphere is one of profound, hushed contentment. As you walk along the harbor front, the air is thick with the scent of the sea, mingled now with the savory, inviting aromas emanating from the small local eateries tucked away in the narrow cobblestone alleys. You find that your senses, sharpened by your time in mountains, are picking up on the most delicate details, the way the light from a lantern dances across the gentle ripples of the water, the hushed, melodic cadence of the local language being spoken in soft tones by those nearby, and the cool, bracing sensation of the night breeze against your skin. This is the rhythm of the town, a different frequency from that of the mountain mill. Yet it is equally valid, equally human, and equally rooted in the essential needs of life. You observe the fishermen as they secure their boats, their movements a testament to the same patient, deliberate skill you watched the miller practice, and you feel a deep resonant connection to them. They are living their own version of the harvest, and you are honored to share the space with them. You reach the town square where the stone fountain at the center is still, the water reflecting the stars that shine with an intense, brilliant clarity above. You find a bench beneath the spreading canopy of an ancient, gnarled tree, and you allow yourself to sink into the quiet, comfortable embrace of the moment. The bustling noise of the world, which once would have triggered a sense of restlessness or unease, now washes over you like a distant, harmless tide. You have built a fortress of calm within yourself, a place where the clamor of the outside cannot penetrate. It is a profound, transformative feeling. The realization that the peace you sought in the wild places of the world was, in fact, always waiting to be uncovered within the landscape of your own mind. The journey to the mill was not a pilgrimage to a holy site, but a necessary shedding of the illusions that prevented you from accessing the sanctuary of your own consciousness. As the night deepens, you find yourself contemplating the nature of the golden light that has become a central motif of your journey. It is not just the glow of the hearth or the refraction of the oil, but a metaphor for the inherent quiet value of a well-lived life. It is the wisdom that recognizes the significance of the mundane, the patience that honors the duration of the process, and the humility that understands our place within the grand unfolding cycle of the earth. You feel as though you have been imbued with this light, and that your task, upon returning to your regular life, is to let it guide your interactions, your labor, and your quiet moments of reflection. You are not meant to be a hermit, nor are you meant to be a spectator. You are meant to be a bridge, carrying the lessons of the mountain into the heart of the modern world. It is a noble, demanding, and deeply satisfying purpose, and you accept it with a quiet, unwavering resolve. A local woman, passing by with a basket of fresh bread, offers you a polite, knowing nod, a gesture of communal recognition that makes you feel, for a fleeting moment, like a member of this quiet, nocturnal world. You smile in return, a genuine, warm expression that carries the fullness of your experience. You are a stranger, yet you feel entirely at home, grounded by the shared, underlying reality of human life. The town is alive with the slow, steady beat of its own existence, the laughter of friends, the soft clink of glasses, the distant, gentle roll of the tide, and you are a peaceful, observant participant in this nocturnal symphony. You have found the rhythm you were looking for, and it is a rhythm that exists wherever people gather, wherever they work, and wherever they honor the simple, fundamental truths of existence. You stand, feeling energized and at ease, and begin to walk toward the edge of town, where the path home awaits. The journey you have taken has transformed you, yet the world itself remains the same. The difference is in the depth of your perception. You see the beauty, the patience, and the profound underlying order in everything you encounter. And you recognize that the peace you have cultivated is the foundation upon which you will build your future. The stars above seem to guide you. The gentle wind at your back feels like a blessing, and the stillness within you is a constant, reliable presence. You are returning to the world, but you are not returning to your old life. You are entering a new phase, a life that is measured by the quality of your presence, the integrity of your actions, and the golden, unwavering light of the stillness you found in the heart of the Cretan night. Everything is ready, and you walk forward into the quiet, promising dark, with a heart that is finally fully and eternally at peace. The return journey begins under the vast celestial expanse of the late night sky, where the constellations appear as brilliant, unwavering anchors in the dark. As you leave the quiet, lantern-lit alleys of the port town, the transition back to the open road feels like stepping out of a secluded room into a great, hushed theater. The landscape is bathed in a cool, silvery moonlight that transforms the familiar olive groves into ethereal, shimmering forests of ghost trees. You walk with a rhythm that has become second nature, a steady, measured cadence that seems to hum in alignment with the very rotation of the earth. The stillness you have cultivated is no longer a fragile internal effort. It has become a mantle, a constant presence that shields you from the chaos of the world and keeps your focus firmly fixed on the beauty of the passing path. You are moving through the night, yet you feel as though the night is moving through you, a current of deep, ancient wisdom that cleanses your spirit of the last lingering shadows of your past restlessness. You find yourself reflecting on the nature of memory and how the experiences of the last few days have begun to integrate into your subconscious, becoming a permanent part of your identity. The image of the miller, his weathered hands, his deliberate, unhurried motions, his quiet, reverent focus is permanently etched into your mind. You realize that he was not just an individual, but a symbol of the enduring human capacity to find meaning in the repetition of essential tasks. This is the lesson you are taking home, that no work is too small or too repetitive to be a source of profound spiritual satisfaction, provided one approaches it with the right heart. You have learned that the quality of your life is not determined by the magnitude of your accomplishments, but by the level of consciousness you bring to the simplest, most fundamental actions. This is a radical, life altering perspective, one that promises to change the way you approach your work, your relationships, and your own internal dialogue. As the road begins to climb away from the coast, heading toward the interior plains, you encounter a small stream that flows from the mountain heights. You stop to kneel beside it, the sound of the water tumbling over the smooth, sun-bleached stones acting as a gentle melodic counterpoint to the deep resonant silence of the night. You cup the water in your hands and drink the liquid cold and crisp, a taste of the pure, unfiltered source of life. You splash it on your face, the sensation grounding you in your physical body, reminding you that you are a creature of flesh and bone, part of the same natural order that feeds the trees and sustains the mountain. It is a moment of total clarity, a realization that you are not separate from the world you are walking through. You are the stream, you are the stone, you are the mountain air, and you are the vast watchful sky. The road ahead is a ribbon of silver in the moonlight, leading you back toward the world you left behind. Yet you feel no apprehension. The anxieties that once seemed like mountainous obstacles, the deadlines, the social expectations, the complex, tangled demands of modern life now appear as small, manageable ripples on the surface of a much deeper, much calmer sea. You have discovered the center, and from that center, all things are manageable. You have learned that peace is not an absence of the world, but a way of engaging with it that does not allow you to be overwhelmed by it. You have become a keeper of the stillness, and this will be your strength as you step back into the flow of your old life. You will carry the meal in your heart, the golden light of the harvest in your mind, and the steady, rhythmic patience of the mountain in your stride. As the first faint suggestion of dawn begins to touch the eastern horizon, you realize that you have come to the end of this stage of your journey. You reach a familiar crossroads, the point where the trails of the past and the roads of the future meet. You stand there for a long moment, looking back toward the distant, hidden heights of the mountain where the mill remains, a silent golden heart of the island. You offer a final silent note of gratitude to the place that has given you so much, a quiet thank you for the transformation you have undergone. Then you turn toward the east, toward the coming light, and you begin to walk, not as the person you were, but as someone who has finally found the rhythm of their own existence. The world is waking up. The birds are beginning their morning songs, and you step forward with a clear, steady, and unwavering purpose, ready to carry the peace of the meal into the sunrise of your new life. The first rays of the morning sun pierce the horizon, casting long, dramatic shadows across the landscape and illuminating the world in a wash of soft amber light that feels like a continuation of the golden glow you witnessed in the meal. You are walking through the low-lying plains, the air crisp and filled with the scent of waking earth and blooming wildflowers. It is a moment of profound quiet emergence, as if the world and your own inner state are finally synchronized in a singular, harmonious sunrise. The exhaustion that once would have clouded your spirit has been replaced by a clean, vibrant alertness, a state of being where every sensory input, the warmth on your skin, the rustle of the dry grass, the distant, steady hum of the awakening countryside, feels like a direct conversation with reality. You are fully, completely present, and the realization that this state is yours to sustain, regardless of your physical location, brings a quiet, powerful smile to your face. You pass an old, stone built farmhouse where a family is beginning their day, the scent of fresh, yeasty bread escaping from an outdoor oven. You watch as a child runs out into the yard, followed by a dog, their laughter ringing out with a purity that matches the morning sky. In the past, this scene might have sparked a fleeting, melancholic sense of longing for a life you felt you had missed, but today you see it as a beautiful, essential part of the tapestry of existence. You recognize the same devotion to the immediate, the same reliance on the rhythms of labor and life that you observed in the mountain mill. You are not a spectator of their life, you are a fellow traveler, and their existence validates the truth you have discovered. You understand now that the good life is not a destination to be reached, but a way of moving through the world that respects the sanctity of the present. The path ahead leads you toward a small, bustling transit center, the first sign of the wider, more complex world you have been away from. In the distance, you see the movement of cars, the faint rhythmic thrum of commerce, and the architecture of a town that clearly functions on a faster, more frantic timeline than the sanctuary you have left behind. Yet, as you approach this hub, you feel no trepidation. You have learned that the noise is only a surface layer. Beneath it, there is always the same fundamental silence, the same essential truth of existence that you cultivated in the quiet of the mill. You are ready to engage with the world, not because you seek its rewards, but because you have found a way to remain centered within it. You are bringing the stillness of the mountain into the heart of the city. You pause for a moment at the edge of the transit area, taking a deep final breath of the mountain touched air. You feel the weight of the journey in your legs, the reality of the distance covered, and the profound transformative mark left upon your spirit. This is where your time as a solitary traveler ends and your time as a participant begins. You reach into your pocket, feeling the small, smooth stone you kept from the mill floor, a physical reminder of the stability and the rhythm you found there. It is a small, insignificant object to anyone else, but to you it is a talisman, a piece of the century that you will carry forward as you integrate the lessons of the night into your everyday life. As you step into the transit hub, you are immediately surrounded by the sounds, smells, and movements of people traveling toward their own destinations. You see the haste, the focus, and the underlying, often hidden anxiety in the faces of those around you, and you feel a wave of deep, compassionate love for them all. They are searching for the same peace you were, though they might not have the language for it or the space to find it. You resolve to be a silent beacon of the stillness you have found, to move with the same deliberate grace as the miller, and to honor the sacred, repetitive nature of their daily labor. The journey is over, but the practice is just beginning. You walk forward, confident, centered, and profoundly at peace, stepping into the vibrant, beautiful, and demanding world, with the golden light of the mountain burning steady and bright within you, ready to illuminate whatever path lies ahead. The transition from the solitary silence of the mountain to the surging, vibrant pulse of the urban world is not a jarring clash, but a seamless integration of the lessons you have learned. As you navigate the transit hub, the clamor, the sharp voices of vendors, the mechanical growl of buses, the rhythmic shuffling of a thousand hurried footsteps, no longer acts as a dissonant noise that threatens your inner composure. Instead, you hear it as a grand, chaotic, and beautiful symphony of human endeavor. You recognize that the frantic pace of the people surrounding you is merely an outward expression of their desire to sustain their lives, a frantic, often unexamined version of the same essential labor you witnessed in the miller's sanctuary. You walk through the crowd with a deliberate, steady stride, an island of intentional calm amidst the swirling currents of modern haste. You are no longer trying to outpace the world. You are moving with it, yet grounded by the deep, resonant rhythm of the mountain harvest that beats within your own chest. Every encounter becomes an opportunity to practice the stillness you have cultivated. When a ticket agent barks a question at you, you do not mirror their irritation. You respond with a measured, patient clarity that momentarily disrupts their rhythm, a soft ripple of peace that spreads across their brow. When you sit on the train, surrounded by the glow of screens and the distracted, anxious energy of your fellow passengers, you do not participate in the frantic consumption of digital noise. Instead, you sit with your back straight, your hands resting on your knees, your eyes closed in a brief internal visit to the stone-walled chamber of the mill. You summon the scent of the crushed olives, the warmth of the hearth, and the deep groan of the timber press, and instantly the cramped, sterile environment of the train carriage transforms into a place of sanctuary. The peace you have found is not dependent on the absence of others or the silence of the wilderness. It is a portable internal geography, a landscape of the soul that you can inhabit at any moment, anywhere. As the train cuts through the changing landscape, moving from the pastoral beauty of the outskirts toward the dense steel and glass horizon of the city center, you reflect on the long-term application of your journey. The miller did not finish his work and then leave the mill behind. He lived in a constant seasonal relationship with the mountain and its bounty. Similarly, your work is not to hold on to the memory of the meal as a distant, unattainable ideal, but to bring the values of the meal, patience, dedication, and presence into the messy, complicated, and demanding reality of your daily life. You realize that the modern world is not an obstacle to be overcome. It is the field where you must now labor, the place where you must cultivate your own version of the harvest. The challenge is not to live in the mountains, but to create a meal within the city, a place where you can retreat to find your center and from which you can emerge with renewed focus and purpose. You arrive at the city station. The scale of the architecture and the intensity of the human flow amplifying the challenge of your commitment, yet you feel a surge of quiet, triumphant joy. You are not arriving as a stranger to your own life. You are returning as an architect of your own experience. You observe the way the sunlight hits the glass of the skyscrapers, creating shimmering patterns that remind you of the way the light caught the oil in the amphorae, and you see the underlying sacred order in the geometry of the city. Everything is connected. The labor of the steelworkers who built these towers is no different in its fundamental nature than the labor of the miller who tended his press. It is all part of the same human effort to build, to sustain, and to transform the raw materials of the world into something of lasting value. You are part of this effort and you are ready to contribute your share with the same reverence, the same patience, and the same quiet dedication you observe in the high mountains. You emerge onto the city street, the midday heat reflecting off the pavement, and you take a deep, steadying breath. You are back in the thick of it, back in the noise and the motion, but you are entirely, irrevocably changed. You carry the stillness of the mountain in your stride, the golden light of the harvest in your eyes, and the unshakable certainty that you are home, right where you are. You look down the bustling boulevard, seeing the faces of 1,000 people, each on their own journey, and you offer a silent, heartfelt wish for their own discovery of the peace that lies within. You start walking, not with the aim of reaching a destination, but with the joy of being fully present in each step. The city is your new meal, the day is your new harvest, and the life ahead is yours to cultivate with the same golden, patient, and beautiful rhythm you have carried all the way from the heart of the Cretan night. Everything is in rhythm, everything is in peace, and you are ready to begin.
Sleepy History with Theodore is created for relaxation, entertainment, and sleep purpose.
The stories shared on this channel are inspired by historical events, daily life, and real periods in history.
But they may be simplified, adapted, or narrated in a calming way to enhance the listening experience. This content is not intended to be a precise academic or educational source. While we aim to stay generally accurate, some details may be altered for storytelling flow and relaxation. Please do not rely on this channel as a primary source for historical research or study. By listening, you acknowledge that this content is designed to help you unwind, relax, and fall asleep. Thank you for your understanding and support.